Let's do this. Oh, we are live. Buenos dias, buenas noches, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the first ever OrganiCast, episode 1. Today we have a very special guest. His name is Oddity. He's a young god. He's also the owner of Solafide Esports team. Let's give a warm welcome to Mr. Oddity. How are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Not too bad, not too bad. Ready to get this first episode going. We got the nervous
Yes,
jitters out
sir.
of the way. We drinking?
Yes, sir.
What you drinking?
Always.
What you drinking on?
Sam Adams Boston Lager, and we'll probably switch it up to White Claws later.
Okay. Well, cheers, man. I got some White Claw myself
Cheers
right
to
now.
you as well.
We also got Mason in here. And we got Oddity's legal team called Urban.
Here.
Everyone's here. Everyone's here and ready to go. Cheers to everyone drinking. So just to kind of do a overview of what we have in store for tonight. We're just going to chit-chat, dude. We're going to go over some things. I've got a bunch of questions I want to ask you, especially about Solafide. And every now and then we'll do some intermissions and have anyone that's in chat be able to ask some questions. So I'm looking forward to that.
I'm excited. Let's dig into it.
Let's dig into it. So to start off, I do have one question I'd like to ask you. So Solafide, let's get into that. You're esports. You're the owner of Solafide Esports team. When did it officially become an esports team? Like, when did Solafide become a thing, an entity?
Honestly, it was before my time. I was not the founder of it. I was not involved in the creation of it. I
Okay.
found it while I was playing Apex on Xbox a little over a year ago, and I applied as GFX, and I got picked up as a graphic design artist, and the fruition of what came to be stemmed from just me being picked up as an artist, and it kind of evolved into what is now a completely different role, as you can see.
Okay. I guess we can say that you did not envision this. It just kind of
Most
happened.
definitely not.
So it just kind of like organically fell into place. Domino pieces fell, and boom!
Yes.
All of a sudden, you're the owner of Solafide.
100%. It was not in my planned path for where I saw myself in esports at all.
Okay. What are some things you enjoy about it? I mean, talk to me more about the transition, of going into becoming an owner and how that's all been.
It's honestly been great. It's a little stressful at times, just as any business. I mean, esports is fun, and I genuinely enjoy the people that I've met. And I mean, the guys on our roster, they're amazing. I get to hang out with them a lot, and it's great. All quality gentlemen, great ladies. Everyone involved has just been a pleasure to work with so far. But it is a business at the end of the day, so there are those qualms that I'll have amongst myself, or sometimes my management team, or even players or whatnot. It's the business side of it, but I think the growth of it has just been an amazing experience to be a part of. Honestly, just seeing something so little start to grow into something where we're being compared to larger names. We have rapport in a community, established game such as Apex. It's been great to see it all just kind of start to come full circle, come around, and have all the hard work pay off.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, and I'm glad to hear that. And now that you mentioned growth, I've got to say there's a lot of people, a lot of groups, a lot of teams that try to do this. You see it all the time. And Solafide, I feel like I can almost remember how recently it was that I saw the beginning of it. And to see how quickly you guys have grown has been beyond impressive, at least for me. And so I'd like to kind of ask you and dive into what created that result. What made it to where Solafide was able to grow as quickly as it did? I mean, you guys were dominating quite well from the get-go in these major tournaments and in the LGS or the qualification rounds and all that. I keep seeing y'all's name pop up, and every time I look, you guys are getting bigger and bigger. So what do you think is the biggest reason for that?
I have to go with work ethic. I genuinely don't think there is an esports organization, there's a team, or even a collective group of individuals working as hard behind the scenes and even on the center stage as the guys we have here. Before we even got some of these bigger names, I mean, when SF was strictly on console even, I remember pulling 100-hour weeks with the management team, and we're based solely on console, not even on PC yet. But everybody's dedication and just commitment to seeing the bigger picture and knowing where they want to be, trying to build into creating a job in the space they create and a place that they love.
Mm-hmm.
That has driven this entire organization to where it is today. The amount of work I couldn't even quantify how much blood, sweat, and tears the people here have put into this org. I really couldn't.
Basically, to anyone out there listening that either is thinking about starting or wanting to be a part of maybe starting an esports team or being a part of a group that does something of that nature, work ethic is up there, and what you need to understand that needs to happen, right?
Most definitely.
Okay, and that makes a lot of sense. Like I said, I was super impressed. I constantly kept seeing SF just grow more and more and more, and I've known Demonic or Tim since Xbox days, and that was over 2 years ago now. And it was also cool to see kind of what was going on and everything he's put into it.
Tim's a great guy. Getting to know him the past years, that's been a trip on its own. You know Tim, he's a great guy, but
yeah.
going off the work ethic, I think I remember there was a point in December. This is before we were even talking to some of the pro Apex players switching to this Apex scene right when ALGS got announced and looking for creators. I remember all of December, all of January, Tim and I each month we put over 400 hours on Twitch and Mixer looking for creators to come to the org because we were really trying to get that head start on the expansion. We were trying to go from averaging anywhere from like 10, 20, or 30 viewers. We were trying to really find our first big creator to bring in that has a steady average. And for every single night, it was just a different creator. Like, oh, this person looks promising. Let's email them. And then you'd wake up the next morning. Yeah, sorry, not interested. And we probably got 200-300 of those. It was an experience, but that just strives right back into it's all about the work ethic, I think, because we just didn't stop. We kept hammering it out. We were just laughing at it at one point. We probably had mental breakdowns over the amount of rejection. But yeah, Tim, I honestly don't think SF would be what it is today without Tim, because he definitely helped me get through a lot of the issues and the rejection that we faced when we were really trying to make our first big jump into the scene. So always definitely grateful for Tim.
That's what's up. I'm glad to hear that, man. And I can tell you, just from knowing him and playing with him quite a bit, he's definitely someone that I consider, he just put everything into it. Whatever I knew that he was doing, he would put in his 100%. So
definitely, he never even complains about it. He might make a joking little snide, "Oh, you've got to be kidding me!" But
Tim,
he gets it done.
No way, no way, man.
Tim being witty, never,
no, never,
he
dude.
gets it done.
No.
He works like a horse and he gets it done. So
he really does.
Much respect and much love to him.
That's what's up. So this little birdie in my ear, Solafide.
Yes, Solafide.
Okay, my bad.
It's all good.
My B.
It's a big misconception. A lot of people say
Solafide.
Solafide.
If we don't have fuck ups episode 1, there's a problem.
I hate to see where episode 10
there's a problem. So let's backtrack real quick. Oddity. He's the owner of Solafide.
Solafide.
See what I'm saying? Like that's error. That's error number 2. We're getting there. We'll get there. Talk to me about your crew, your content creators. What do you look for in content creators? This is aside from your pro players. I'm assuming you have a pro player category, or do you only sign content creators? How does that work, actually? Tell us about that.
So we have both. With Apex being a smaller esport, though, it definitely has a bridge where a majority of the pro players are larger content creators as well. It plays off of each other. I don't honestly, right now, I don't think it's enough to just be a pro player in Apex. You need the content side of it if you're really taking Apex as like your full-time job, which you see all the top players, they're all content creators that have really healthy communities and whatnot. But yeah, we pick up content creators and pro players. Each serve different purposes, but Apex is we're kind of blessed with because it is both sides of that sword.
In regards to content creators, like what have y'all looked for in all of your signings? Like what are the top things that y'all look for in content creators?
That's a really interesting question because of the size of SF and where we've been to where we're going. Initially, the basis was kind of we were looking for. I mean, this is back in January, February, March when we did our big rebrand, changed up the logo, brought in Kine and some other people, and got our first pro roster for Apex. At that point, it was really a lot about metrics and just kind of putting the brand in front of as many eyes as we possibly could through through that next big creator that we're able to bring in. But now at this point, it's more so turned into, we're still obviously doing that. You need that in order to grow within the scene. We're puny, we're very small still. It's really shifted to looking at somebody's skill set, seeing what they're doing. When we jump into streamer streams, I mean, even if it doesn't seem like it, we're watching to see how they engage with their chat, what their audience is like. Do they have a level of professionalism? Are they reckless on stream? Are they saying some ignorant things? Are they toxic? Are they somebody that's representing not only themselves, but would they represent an entity such as the business well? What are their goals? What are they looking to do? For content creation, there's so much that can go into it. I mean, you can have content creators that edit and do all of their own videos, or you have content creators that don't want anything to do with that and they pay to get it done. So when you're looking at it like that, okay, are they paying to get it done by somebody good, or are they just skimping out and being lazy or not able to afford to put it into something serious, right? So
Okay.
there's a lot of spectrum there for, I like to say, sliding scale for a lot of things, because you can slide all the way to the bottom of that, and you can have a really toxic bad content creator but might put out the greatest gameplay in the world, and then you might have somebody that who might be not the best at the game, but man, are they funny, and they are very great to their community. They're genuine, and they're editing all their own videos. There's a lot to look for. Right now, we're in another phase of, we're really looking for people that are going to promote the brand and grow with the brand long term, that are going to bring lasting value.
Okay. It's hard to disagree with that. And, if I can throw in my 2 cents to that, is I see a lot of content creators that sometimes they may almost over focus on like quality too much, to where like sometimes, man, people just want to see your content. Like it doesn't have to be perfect. And I see a lot of people miss out on engagements and interactions content creators do, instead of just trying to push out good quality content, but more regularly. I feel like there's a proper balance of quantity or quality to maintain engagement with people, especially with their own community.
Most definitely. I think quality and quantity are definitely two things that go hand in hand. There's the old saying, you prefer quality over quantity, but in such a competitive space, I feel like it's really important to find that balance, because
Yeah.
if somebody's able to put out quality content 7 days a week, and they have a dedicated editor that's going to go through their VODs, clip it, and throw a video up on YouTube for the greatest plays of the day, it's hard to compete with that. That sets a standard, that sets a guideline and a base that you're automatically in contention with. So I think finding a creator that's able to do both, that's very hard. Truthfully, I don't see a lot of creators that are able to do that successfully, because it's not easy. It is a grind. It's a very difficult grind to do day in, day out, especially with other life obligations too. Because as great as content creation and gaming is, a lot of the people in it don't do this full time. So it creates a bit of a drift for them
Sure.
to fall behind.
I totally feel that is entirely misvalued by a lot of people in general. Just how much time content creators put into creating content, in addition to every other responsibility they have in life. And sometimes I feel like it can be overwhelming to some content creators because they're good at it. It's those content creators that are really, really good at what they do, about engaging, creating communities, and engaging with those communities and providing awesome content. And then they also have all these other things they're doing in life, whether it's a part-time job or a full-time job, a family, whatever that might be. And they get all these people engaged with them and enjoying their content and enjoying all these things, that those people that they're now engaging and creating content for are almost demanding it, right? Without realizing, man, but they've got all these other things they've got going on. I feel like you're right with trying to find that balance is super important.
Yeah, most definitely. I think balance is an important aspect just about everything in life, I mean, especially in content. It's a hard balance to achieve, I find. I know I couldn't do it. I truthfully, straight up, I know I couldn't do it. That I'm on the management side only of this, because I know I couldn't do the creation.
Well, I guess that's a good leader to a question I've got for you. What is something that those that know you or that know of you, what is something that they may not know about you that you'd like to share?
I think everybody that knows me knows that I'm a pretty rough around the edges person, but it's just genuinely how I am. I think a lot of people don't mean that. I do have some genuine interests, and I do mean things genuinely to like see the best of everybody around me. It's pretty easy in the gaming scope and space to get into somebody's chat and say, "Yo, you suck. Get better, nerd. Get wrecked. Outplayed. Why do I have you here?" I mean, multiple times I've jumped into Zach or Designful stream, and I've been like, "Oh my God, I'm dropping you. You're so bad." And people are like, "Oh my God, why are you saying this?" They're freaking out like,
Oh
"Are you serious?
no.
Are you serious?"
Oh
And it's like,
no.
no, it's banter. I mean, genuinely, I want to see everybody that is involved esports in this community, especially SF, not to be biased, but I genuinely have nothing but their best intentions in mind. So I know a lot of people kind of say, "Oh, you guys are a small org. You're just looking to clout suck off of people." But I mean, anybody I bring here, I'm trying to see them succeed. I'm trying to help them succeed in any way I possibly can. I don't have any ill intention in terms of these creators, players, or where they're able to go. I don't want to be their hindrance. I want to be part of their success.
You're not allowed to be biased, okay? Just because you're the owner of an esports team doesn't you're not allowed. Okay. That's awesome, though. I mean, it sounds like you're critical, but in a motivational and constructive way.
Definitely. I'm never not gonna call one of anybody in my org if they're on some shit. I will call them out for it, and they're all too fond of that side of me. I'm sure I've upset many people multiple times. Actually, not even sure. I know I have. I've made many people upset with me, but at the end of
Well,
the day, we're able to talk it out and have mature conversations to explain how to ramify the situation and progress forward on a better track and a better note.
well, you're not the first, nor will you be the last owner of a company to upset somebody within that company. I feel like that's always going to
Yeah.
happen. I mean, no one ever fully agrees, right?
Yeah, most definitely.
Was it difficult to like reach out to bigger content creators? Like how when I say bigger, I mean I hope nobody misinterprets me. I just mean more well established, higher following, et cetera, et cetera. So someone like Zach, what is that process? What was that process like? I mean, you just came into being an owner of an esports team, right? So this is I don't want to say this is new to you because I don't know what your past experiences are with work. How does that go around? Like how was there how challenging was that?
Honestly, this probably goes to a lot of people that are trying to start orgs or have thought about starting orgs. About in December, like we previously talked about starting and reaching out to all those people, it really just dawned to us like before we weren't really salarying people. We were paying to get like GFX done and just simple tasks like pay to get a website domain, easy things like that. There comes that point in the organization culture where it's no longer about people being here and it's what can we give them. I think it's safe to say with Zach in particular, it was more so like we need somebody that's well connected. We want a content creator. We want somebody relevant in the scene that we're pursuing. It was a conversation straight up of this is what we'll pay you. We want you here. A lot of people don't like that conversation
But you
because they
pay
think,
people?
yeah, it's crazy, right? Do have to pay people in esports.
Okay, okay.
They actually do tend to get upset if you don't. I will tell you that.
And
But
see, that may not be something that a lot of people know.
yeah,
Official.
it's
Solafide pays its content creators. Okay, how does that? I mean, how does that work?
we there's some fun facts we can talk about later with
Okay,
comp if you want in terms of paying. You want to
okay,
bring that up, but
sure.
so all of our
Hey Mason, can
members
you jot that down? Can you put that in the notes real quick for a competitive, please? Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
so in terms of our content creators on their as long as they have higher current averages and whatnot, I mean I'm going to be truthful here, we do have content creators that we don't pay, but the larger creators that have significant platform reach and ability, they are on salary, they're on monthly salary, they're paid to be here, but I've genuinely not seen the money aspect really interfere with the relationship and the value that they bring to, I mean, me as a personal, honestly, I'll call these guys my friends. I've had some really deep talks with some of these guys. I'll be there to support them just as I know they are for me. It goes to show that there's a lot more involved than just money, but somebody's time is worth money. And you have to understand that. You have to respect that in esports. You can't expect somebody to do something straight up for free and to get somebody with notable status that they deserve to be paid for it. That's their brand. They built it. They are entitled. I will say entitled to getting compensated to help somebody grow another brand outside of their own. I don't think that should be free of charge. So yeah, all of Solafide larger creators are on a salary.
Urban seems to think that you're paying people to be your friends.
Yes, definitely. I'm extremely critical on myself, and I have so many insecurities that if I don't pay them to be my friends, I'll have nothing in life to fall back on.
Oh man. Well, I also want to mention that someone in chat, Lady Venom, said that what she sees is that SF is a family that all support each other and help each other to succeed. So that's really nice.
Lady Venom has been an amazing supporter of ours. I appreciate her. I've gotten the pleasure of running some games with her and Noob King, actually. I know her from Noob King's community, and she's always been supportive of what we're doing here. So I really appreciate that she kind of can pick that out and see that what we're trying to do is about lifting each other up, succeeding together.
Heck yeah. Well, I think this is a good time then to transition real quick. Let's do some chat engagement. So anyone that has any questions in chat for Mr. Oddity, go ahead and do that now. If it go really appreciated. True God chat, having a great day, man. Thank you so much. Thanks for being here.
Am I supposed to be looking at the chat?
Oh, I got you. I got it pulled up. Okay. Epic Umbrello says, are you going into any other esports besides Apex?
Most definitely. We strive to succeed here. We strive to win. We want to be at the top of competition. I think in 2021, you guys are going to see some pretty cool things from us in terms of entering different spaces. Really excited for that. I'm not going to leak too much, but there are definitely going to be some other games that we get involved in, and not only get involved in, we're going to make some tides, some very large tides.
Okay, well, that actually kind of leads me to my own question. Does that have anything to do with the games themselves? So do game producers and developers seek out organizations who essentially create teams for their games? I honestly, I have no idea how that works.
Yeah.
So does that influence what games your organization decides to build teams for?
Most definitely.
Okay.
There's a few games out there that do have franchise leagues and they pay you to be involved with it. There's a lot of games out there that will offer organization support, such as in-game skins and whatnot, which is a way of revenue. to come into the organization. There's a lot of opportunity in the esports space. I think the thing that hinders a lot of organizations from getting involved with it is the initial startup capital needed for it. It does cost money. It is expensive. It's definitely one of those things where if you're going to do it, you need to have a well-written, methodical plan to do it. You need to have the right people, or else you're just going to be throwing money out the window.
Okay. What does it take? This is a question from TrueGot Chat TV. What does it take to be a part of competitive play? So I'm going to ask him real quick so I can get clarification. TrueGot, do you mean what does it take for a competitive player to be a part of an esports team in regards to competitive play? Or what does it take for a esports team to get involved in competitive play? I'm trying to make sure we understand your question entirely so you get proper answer. While he confirms exactly what the question is, there's another question from Tush's favorite simp. Why is there no e-girls in SF? Well, I'm pretty sure there is, but you go ahead.
We have females. 2021, you're gonna see quite a few more of them. I can promise you that.
Okay.
But we definitely are all inclusive and do have females. You could check out our website if you want, solafide.gg, if you want to see who's currently on our roster.
There it is, solafide.gg. Check out the roster. Absolutely cracked individuals, I must say. TrueGot Chat TV said, what's it take to get involved in it yourself if you wanted to? So I'm assuming he means what does it take for someone who is looking to join a team as a professional?
On that note, I definitely think this comes back to a balance. To be a professional, especially to get noticed by organizations and achieve that desired salary to be part of a roster, you're going to have some level of skill that can compete with the best, amongst the best, to be the best. You're also going to have to sacrifice a lot. You're going to have to put in the time to grind, because unless you're an absolute prodigy, there's very few people that are going to pick up a game and be the best at it. I mean, if you're looking at competitive play right now, if you go through the last 30 days in the VODs of all these top pros, a majority of them have probably close to 12 hours streamed every single day. They have thousands of hours into Apex. It's a time for reward type equation there. You have to grind. You have to constantly be critical on yourself to improve. There's a lot that goes into it. It's definitely all about putting the effort in. I don't think you're gonna be able to do it without that.
Roger that. There you go, True. You heard it from the man himself. He says thanks a lot. And thank y'all for engaging in chat. I really appreciate that. I don't know what's going on here. It's okay. Just one of those things we're gonna get used to and get better at. My intro kind of went off. We've talked a lot about SF and your involvement, the content creators. Talk more about you. What do you do other than SF?
I'm a jack of all trades. I do a lot. Primarily, I operate and own my own hedge fund, utilize a lot of investment, pretty much create and generate the wealth that's funneled into SF and all my other ventures. I do a little bit of real estate, and I'm fortunate to consult for a few diplomats, international countries, and help them close some deals around the world for anything from gems to real estate to simply just setting up protocol and travel plans.
And how old are you again?
I'm about to be 23.
Seem like a very well-accomplished 23-year-old. And Lady Venom says that you wear really nice shoes. And you're able to do all of that and be the owner of Solafide.
Yeah, funny enough, I actually shut my hedge down about 2 months ago for the remainder of the calendar year, just to dedicate a little bit more time to esports and SF, really see it come to full fruition of where we want to be going into 2021. COVID's been a bit of a damper on things. It's definitely not stopping the management team and the people involved from grinding to put us in a really good position going into the new year. I've been able to take the leisure of having a lot of time to commit to SF.
Things happen for a reason, right?
Yes, sir.
What happens when hedge fund turns back on? God willing, COVID gets handled appropriately and life becomes more like it used to be. Are you looking to increase your team? I mean, I'm assuming you're gonna need, SF won't be able to get all the Oddity they're getting now, right? What does the future look like?
Absolutely not. And I'll drop a few leaks on the podcast, but I am making an absolute massive management expansion. That's just something that needs to happen, especially if we plan to compete with some of these more established, larger organizations. It needs to happen. I'm not going to be naive in the fact to say that I know everything about esports, because I don't at all.
Wait, I thought you did.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I've actually been in the scene for 20 years, helped Ninja become who he is today. It's great. We go
Shout
way
out
back,
to
man.
Ninja. I see you.
Yeah.
I see you.
No, but all jokes aside, I mean, everybody I've met in esports has definitely taught me something about it. I mean, even with Tim, the reason Tim and I work so well together is I have a lot of the business side of things on lockdown, but Tim knows esports way better than me. I mean, Urban's been here for just over 6 months now, and he knows a lot more about esports than I'm ever going to know, truthfully. And it just balances. It's all about the checks and balances. It works very well because, again, this is a business. At some level, you have to understand that. Esports, to the eye, is playing video games, but I think, especially with COVID prevailing, you've seen the opportunity in this emerging industry that's called gaming. It's creating opportunity for everyone from ages 10 to 50 and content competitive. So the business side of it still is very much there and still has to be taken in that professional and what's traditionally known the steps of to perform proper business. You can't be 14 years old walking into a conference room saying, all right, guys, sit down, get wrecked, nerd. Like, you can't do that. You have to have the proper protocol to set up and discuss professionally and create the plan. I mean, there's cash projections involved. You have to do everything. It has to be mapped out. And that's where I kind of come in a lot more than the actual esports side of it. But massive expansions coming for SF in terms of people that will be here.
Well, speaking of that and success in SF, Monkey Jam 2018 in chat says, this is the dad of the first family of Apex. On my son's account, SF is truly one of the best up-and-coming teams in esports. This is Christian Booknotes from Twitter. Some positive words.
Christian Booknotes from Twitter has been an absolute cornerstone to what we do here. They really reflect what we're trying to change.
What
I've
are
had
you
some
trying to
great
change?
conversations. The next generation of esports. I think that we're in a very important time where playing video games is no longer a waste of time if you're doing it the right way, because there's 14-year-old kids making more than 30-year-old men.
Has it ever been a
Playing
waste
video
of
games.
time?
I think it could be argued. I definitely think 10 years ago, when the scene wasn't as developed, the chances of succeeding were significantly lower. The prize pools were lower. If you go back 20 years from now, is even less. There's always been money in gaming, though. I mean, I remember watching old school Pac-Man tournaments. There was money in them.
Sure.
But I think that the ability of technology to come so far and the open internet to be so free to teach you what you need to know, whether it be editing or how to do this or how to do that, the ways that you can learn to play games differently now. I mean, the strategy, the mental thinking and capacity that goes into these games is crazy. Look at League of Legends. League has been a top 10 esports game, but that game's blown up and it's still blowing up. It's still huge. It accounts for so much viewership in the space. But going back to the initial question, looking at it as now you're seeing less parents. And I mean, we were in Fortnite for a little bit and talking to some of these parents 10 years ago, I know for a fact my mother would never have been okay with me saying, Mom, I'm going to play Fortnite for a living. I'm going to be a professional gamer. My mom would have beat my ass. She would have bent me over the table, taken a wooden spoon, and took all my consoles away. She would not have let me do that. And I know there are many people that are like that right now. They would not have let their kid do that.
So,
but now when you're, what's up?
Well, if I may ask, outside of the money though, I feel like before money became a big thing in gaming, I still feel like there's even back in the 80s and even late 70s, I feel like gaming has always had this stigma of wasting time, where anything in life in excess is a bad thing, right?
Yes.
But I can personally say that gaming, before or even if money is never involved or a monetary gain is never involved, can be therapeutic. It can be emotionally binding with a parent. Like, for example, and I've used this example before and I've shared it. When my mom was going through her cancer treatment, I bought a portable Super Nintendo, and I used to play Zelda with her growing up as a kid. And we got to play Zelda together. I hate to be all moody and depressive, but in her in her deathbed, like she was playing it, and we got to engage in something that we used to do when I was a kid. This whole stigma of kids wasting time playing video games. It's like there's things that kids could be doing when they're playing video games that are significantly worse than playing video games. I understand the notion of anything in excess is horrible, right? And I'm glad to see that. I'm really glad to see that monetization within gaming is happening in the scale that it is happening today. It's beyond impressive. It's phenomenal. I think it's great for gaming. I think it has allowed for that stigma of, gaming equals wasting time no matter if it's a minute or 3 hours, to where that's kind of going away a little bit. Urban, yes, please go ahead.
Wait, I can talk. Okay, howdy. No, I just want to make sure I wasn't going to
No, you're good, man.
take over here.
Absolutely. Let me, while you're doing this, I'm going to pull up what Mason is sharing on the screen real quick.
Because I know I've been in the scene for a while from my own experiences of getting into gaming, and then when I was streaming and had my community, it seems like a lot of people might share similar experiences to you, where they turn to gaming as a way to cope or just get through what they're going on in life. But I would say, even me personally, it does become, there is a side of addiction, to where while you may have turned to it as a way of coping and to get past the tough times you're going through, maybe the year or further, it becomes something that is still, maybe then controlling some of your life, where it really shouldn't be an absolute of it's a problem or it's not a problem. It's really just a fluid situation based on, individual circumstance, if that makes sense. That's
No, it
my
does. Yeah,
opinion on the
definitely.
matter.
So I guess would we talk about suggesting to people that are wanting to dive into video games and more on the monetization side, at what point do they need to understand that there's a difference between creating or trying to establish themselves versus wasting time in the attempt of establishing themselves? What kind of advice can we give those that are, because I hear it all the time. I feel like when people say I'm a streamer or I'm trying to become a streamer, I almost wish we wouldn't use the word streamer. If we use the word more of content creator, I feel like it would promote the idea better that, hey, you have to create content for people. I mean, that's really what you're selling. You're trying to, or whether it's a brand or content creation, you've got to create something though. You can't sit at a TV, turn a camera on, and play a game for 18 hours and expect a result strictly from that. Is that a new issue? Is that like the 2020 or the new generation issue where before it was kids sitting in front of a TV for 6 hours playing the same game every day? I feel like a lot of kids may be doing the exact same thing, but in hopes to gain something. So it's even worse because when they see that they're not gaining what they want, it almost re-encourages a problem.
I mean, I can agree with that. I mean, this kind of goes into like what you're looking at when you're talking about what we were looking for in creators when we picked them up. I think COVID has kind of shown the capabilities of the gaming space. I mean, a lot of people were being put out of work, unfortunately, and it's absolutely tragic. In terms of the gaming industry, it exploded. Truthfully, a lot of these content creators are doing better than they ever were before because of COVID. They've been able to absolutely capitalize on, although unfortunate situation, if in a sick, twisted way, massive opportunity that was laid in front of them. But
more
for these
viewers, right?
kids,
More viewing time.
yeah, more viewers, more viewing time. I mean, you run an ad with 100 viewers compared to 1,000 viewers. That's a lot of different. That's a lot more money.
Yeah, most definitely.
When these kids are sitting here grinding, it's really easy to find somebody that just presses live and doesn't make an effort to really do something different or apply themselves on different platforms. A lot of people that we've found and that I've personally looked at, they're only on Twitch. They might have a social media platform, but they use it to just post their Twitch link and it says going live. They aren't really taking advantage of what those platforms have to offer. They don't put the time into networking with other streamers. They just flip their stream on for 18 hours and they go to sleep. They don't go into another streamer's chat and hope that they're doing well, watch what they're doing, see how their community engages with them. They don't try to learn. It's just that very narrow-minded thought process of I'm going to press live, I'm going to grind, I'm going to make it. But that's just not the case because gaming is just too competitive for that to work nowadays.
Yeah,
So I mean,
engagement
I
is a
definitely
huge
agree with
thing.
what you're saying.
In correlation to that, Mason pulled up a Forbes article that states that the video game industry is growing so fast that some believe it will reach over $300 billion by 2025. With billions of dollars in profit, over 2.5 billion gamers around the world, we can expect the game platforms to continue to develop in 2020. So there's a lot of money to go around in this, and I feel like it's only going to increase more. And I think where we have a location where we're going to see more influx of money is from outside sponsors, whether it's game developers. I feel like this whole thing is going to change. The way that game developers market their games, I feel like is eventually going to change here soon, where it may not even be that games will cost anything. They're going to make enough money off of representation from those playing and watching the game.
Most definitely. And that kind of fits directly into our business model, truthfully. I mean, if you're talking about the viewership on Twitch and the average age associated with it, I'm not going to try to pull the exact statistics, Mason. Maybe you can find it. I know that
Yeah,
there's
could you look at that?
the statistics for the age, like the age demographics in Twitch. A while back when we did a pitch to a business looking to team up with and do some cool things together, there are not many, and I'm saying this loosely because a lot of people say stats lie and whatnot, but in my direct sphere and all of the kids I've talked to and most of the people I know, I'm sorry, but I don't turn my cable box on to watch TV anymore. I do not turn the car radio on to listen to music anymore, and I most definitely am not picking up a newspaper to look at the ad section in it. I don't know anybody around my age that does that anymore. I mean, I have Netflix, I've got my smartphone, I've got the internet, I've got Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora Radio. The ad and marketing opportunity in esports is really something that's going to help connect older generations that don't quite understand what esports is as a whole or the gaming platform. It's going to help them connect the products that they've been successfully selling for the past 20, 30, 40, 50 years to these younger kids that are straying their attention away from the conventional marketing tactics. That's something that you've seen. That's why when you turn on Twitch TV, you're now seeing Trojan condom advertisements.
Which is kind
Why
of
do you
nuts.
think it is absolutely crazy? No pun intended here, but like they think we're leaving our houses to get laid. Come on now.
Ha!
But besides that, it's
Or at least they're
you are
helping us
seeing.
motivate kids to make appropriate decisions when it comes to that.
Yeah,
So
but I mean, you're thanks, Mason. I have your stream up, so I'm looking at the
Yeah.
demographic chart. I mean, looking at those demographics right there, 16 to 24, that is a prime age for
Wow,
building a
I did
lasting
not realize
relationship.
it was that high.
Yes,
Fo-
it's scary high.
almost
Scary.
half are, and I'm assuming they don't have anything younger than 16. Are you not allowed to be a Twitch viewer?
I'm not sure 100%,
Because I
truthfully.
feel like people
13 Urban says.
I feel like a lot. I almost thought a lot of the Twitch. Mason, is this Twitch viewership demographic or is this Twitch streamers? I have a feeling is this Twitch users.
Users, so that's viewership and streamer.
Might be some issue with collecting data or something from people under the ages of 16. Yeah, I don't know if you can create a Twitch account and state that you are under the age of 16.
There's a clarification. It is 13. People 12 and under aren't allowed to have Twitch
Okay.
accounts.
Okay.
At the age of 13, you're allowed to create an account, stream, do whatever you want.
Well, that's still a very, very high percentage of what I would consider young people.
Yeah, most definitely. I think that the marketing opportunity with esports is what's really going to make it as a whole very important to a lot of these people. I mean, 16 to 24, those are people that have many, I mean, God willing, years in front of their lives. Brands need those people. They need those people to create an established, dedicated consumer base. They need them. So they're going to put time and resource into marketing to them, because those are the people that 30 years from now are still going to be buying their products and keeping them in business. They have to adapt to the times of how they're going to reach the next generation of consumers. And those are the people that are on Twitch, on Spotify, not using conventional methods. The amount of money that is being sunken into marketing alone, I mean, just from some of the conversations I've had, it's obscene. It really is. It shows that brands are willing to pay top dollar to reach these people because of how important they are to the succession of their business.
As an owner of an esports team, do you have brands that come to you? I'm assuming you do have brands that come to you in attempts to market their product through the usage of the platform your content creators that you have signed have established.
Yeah, absolutely. All
Okay.
the time. I mean, I know for a fact right now Zach is part of AFK Creators talent agency, and they bring him deals to market things such as NordVPN. He just did a pizza advertisement, a one-off stream. I want to say it's irreplaceable, truthfully. Like, they have to.
So y'all don't, Solafide does not, for example, like you said, Zach has his own agency that handles his marketing things. Is that correct?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of talent agencies throughout esports, and he uses them for some of his deals. But at the same time, if the organization's approached, we're also able to kind of funnel those into him and help him grow, help the organization grow. It's a two-way street because he does have his own representation outside of the organization. It's a non-exclusive binding agreement that he has to Solafide, so he is able and open to go out and do other types of deals with other people, which rightfully I think every creator should have that right to do. I would never want exclusive rights of anybody. I think that's just gross, truthfully.
Okay, so I'm going to politely put you on the spot here. If a brand were to come to you as owner of SF and say, hey, we want to promote our product using your platform and the content creators within SF, would you make it to where everyone within your content creation team were to share that product? Or would it be something where you would be okay with a company saying, no, but we only want this person to be a part of our deal of marketing that product?
I think the sad reality of that question is that it's really only one way, and for the most part, they do reach out directly and say, these are the creators we're interested in. We can provide them a deck, which we do, that has all of our creators on it when we are approached, and typically it does kind of lean towards picking the top creators that have the highest CCV/followings and whatnot, for the pure fact that that's more bang for their buck. But I do always fight to try and get all of our creators some form of work, and it might not work all the time, but my goal is to always get them the opportunity, at least.
All right, I appreciate that honest answer, and it's what I assumed. We've got Noob King. He said he would be here, and he's here. Hello, sir. Thanks for being here.
Noob King is an amazing individual. He's my dad, my actual
Is he really?
IRL dad.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Noob King is my father.
Nice. So what is he like? I didn't. He does not look, 35 or 40. Actually, you're 20.
He's extraordinarily buff.
Yeah.
He lifts a lot of weights.
He works out?
I've seen him. Yeah, he does.
Nice.
He eats creatine by the spoonful. He's amazing at it.
Nice.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Sorry, Urban,
Cracked
you're
Apex
right.
player.
I knew my math was wrong when I said that, Urban, immediately. And I was like, whatever. Monkey Jam said something very nice earlier, and I want to say it. From an old man's perspective, my kids struggle with the realization that there must be a lot of behind-the-scenes grinding to make yourself worth someone else's time to watch a stream. That is a huge point, and I've said it. I've tried to share that so many times. I see so many people that are content creators that are great content creators, but they just sit there. They're like, man, I streamed for 18 hours and I only had one viewer, I only had 2 viewers. Like, what do you, that one or two viewers you had now feels disrespected, right? Because they gave you that time. So appreciate that. But on top of that, what are you doing to keep people engaged, to keep people wanting to be there, to create a community? Like, there's so much more than just turning on your stream and allowing others to watch you play video games. There's just so much more to it, especially now with, like you mentioned, Oddity, there's so much competitiveness, right?
Yeah, most definitely. I want to loosely say this, but I feel instant gratification in the scene is something that's almost ingrained into it. They see a friend or a colleague succeeding and they think they're going to turn their stream on and the same thing's going to happen to them, but that's just not the case. It's not easy at all. I mean, I've had really long talks with some creators, even some that have been here or are here about, man, I'm plateauing. My averages aren't going up. Like, what's happening? I'm trying, but I'm tweaking. I'm not progressing. I'm not going further. How can I improve that? What can I do? And it's hard. It's a hard conversation, a hard pill to swallow. I think the realization that some people do have is that not that they're stuck right there, that they're not going to grow, but they might not be. There's a point in a lot of creators' lives, I feel, that they realize, okay, I'm not the next ninja. And it's a hard pill to swallow. I'm always going to give my guys nothing but full support and everything along that lines. And every creator that I come across that I talk to, I'm always going to try and help them the best I can. But I think the standard of being the next ninja, which a lot of people, I've had that question.
Well, I will say it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to not be the next ninja.
That's true, 100%. But in terms of when I say next ninja, they want that 40,000 viewer average. They want the multi-million dollar deals, and I don't think that's honestly a realistic goal for a lot of people, because there's not enough room in the space for everybody to be that person. That's like saying everybody's going to be the Patrick Mahomes of the NFL, but in reality, there's one Patrick Mahomes.
Not everyone's going to be Patrick Mahomes?
Brother, if I got a $500 million signing bonus for the Kansas City Chiefs, promise you I'd not be on this podcast right now.
I thought everyone was going to be Patrick Mahomes, bro. Ooh, yeah, I like that. I like that. Football. I love this, actually. Talk to me about your football. Talk to me. Who are your teams? College, NFL? I mean, do you even have time to watch sports?
One thing in my life that I always make time for is the Buffalo Bills and the Buffalo Sabres. I was born and raised in Buffalo, New York. Yeah, so you understand. I'm used to losing.
I don't understand. You are the first person in the history of my life to say Buffalo Bills. Sorry to every Bills fan in the world, and please continue.
The Buffalo Bills, when you live in Buffalo, New York, it's different and it's hard to explain, but there's a reason that ESPN is constantly saying the Bills probably have the best fan base in the NFL, because when you're at a tailgate party and you're jumping through a table, or you watch somebody light themselves on fire, then jump through a table and shotgun a beer, it's a different experience. I promise you. Look up Buffalo Bill tailgate jumping through table.
Papa Saber says he misses y'all's meetings.
At Solafide, Papa Saber is referring to our meetings where we all concluded taking a shot. We are proud. We are proud in our drinking abilities at Solafide. For those that are of age, of course. I will never condone underage drinking. Nobody should drink alcohol unless they're 21 years or older, or 18 in the UK.
He says never until he's like 80 and doesn't give a shit about anything anymore, and be like, "You should drink whenever you want to." Never say never,
but,
bro.
Yeah, we have a bit of a ritual. We usually all hang out after a meeting and we'll take a shot or 2 or 3 or wherever the night takes us. But it's a great time. Perks of joining SF, I guess. You also get aim assist when you join.
Speaking of aim assist, great thing. What do you think about that? What do you think about controller and mouse and key and all that stuff? Tell us.
I think it's a pointless argument, truthfully.
Okay.
If Apex one day decides to put out a patch or change the way aim assist goes, it could completely kill my comp team. Maybe, who knows? And
so are you saying that your comp team is only good because of aim assist?
No, but it definitely does play a factor, right? Like, they have aim assist.
I don't know. I'm asking you.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely plays a factor, I believe. Like, they're on controller. People do complain about controller, and I'm sorry, but you're not even seeing Imperial Hal running into the face of a controller player because he knows he's about to get lasered if he does such. I think it's ignorant to say that it's definitely not a concern for pro players.
Okay.
But I don't think that it's in any way, shape, or form not outskillable. I think the better player is going to prevail at that level, at least.
So you're saying that once you get to the pro level, aim assist in a controller is not enough to put a average gamer at the level of a professional or a top level professional a Zach Mazer?
No, absolutely not. I think,
Okay.
and this is strictly my opinion.
So
I
it's
think
an
that
advantage, but it's not an advantage enough to put a average player on the same level as someone as good as Zach on mouse and key.
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. That's
I
where
agree
I
with
sit
that.
with it.
I do agree with that. I do, however, think that aim assist on controller can get you faster to a point where you can be at least competitive, to where it takes significantly longer training and muscle memory with using mouse and key.
Oh, definitely. Can we just stay really quick?
Yeah.
Zach Mazer is not the pinnacle of comp. He's actually just really bad at the game.
I'm trying to say Zach because he's on SF. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know.
But I forget, bro. I forget the way that you are. I forget the way that you use motivation, and I like how you motivate
Zach's gotta
people.
figure it out.
Yeah, bro. He's got to figure that shit out, dog.
I'm able to kill him. Like I'm
Is it
better than
true-
Zach technically.
That's what I've heard. But also, is it true that Rogaine has contacted you guys for him to be sponsored?
Wow.
Actually, it wasn't Rogaine. I think it was Miracle Grow. They were testing out a new product line.
So they want to create like a figure, right? Like a little figurine of Zach and have Rogaine distributed. And
Yeah,
I think it's called like What If, so right? Like What If the great hair grew here? What?
When his contract renegotiation goes up, I definitely think
Got it.
hair replacement surgery is on the table for a signing bonus.
All right. I heard rumors, so I had to ask. All right, well, I'm glad we got the aim assist conversation out of the way. By the way, when we first played, you said that because I play Octane, I'm a cheater. Explain.
Oh, most cheaters play Octane. From my experience, I always see Octanes stimming around the map so they can get places faster and let their little aimbots and wall hacks do the rest for them. But that's just my personal.
I just thought you were saying that I was good at the game, but now I understand.
No, I just see a lot of Octanes stimming around the map with their little aimbots hitting me for straight 200s from a mile away with their volts and 99s and 301s.
Most overpowered gun of the game right now. Go.
Most overpowered gun in the game? The Hemlock.
Today, I must fully and entirely agree with you. It is the most ridiculous gun in the game right now, hands down. Which leads me to my next question. What do you think? Oh, wait, no, disregard. I backed up real quick.
No, it's fine.
Nope.
You can go for it.
Nope, I can't. Urban's going to shut me down real quick, bro, if I ask you any questions about the game, so it's all good.
If we can't talk about it, I'll just say we can't, but you can go for it.
So I feel like, okay, let me ask you this. I'm sure you've had conversations with Apex and the developers and the team. Do they look at Reddit? Like, to what level do they look at what's going on and what people are saying about the game? Like, how long does it take for them to look at every single person saying that the Hemlock is too overpowered and do something about it? I just feel like sometimes it takes a long time for things to be, I don't want to say corrected, but things that are kind of obvious to like.
So I'm gonna let Urban chime in here because he actually has talked hand in hand with the devs a lot more than me.
Yeah, please.
So okay. Because I actually had back when I used to compete, I had discussions with some of the devs about this.
If I may, Urban, real quick, chat. Urban is the general manager of Solafide. I just wanted to clarify that. Go ahead.
From my understanding, they test everything a lot internally before they come out with things. When they start seeing a lot of the outrage about like, oh, this is OP, or oh, this is crazy, change it. From a grand scheme of thing, it's kind of just like not an ignorant stance, but like a lot of times they are right because they have tested a lot longer. That it's a lot more balanced than people think. Okay. And that's like their kind of belief there. So it's like when they came out with what's something that previously was like overpowered as hell. Revenant, right? Like people thought Revenant was crazy when he came out. Or not, sorry, not when he came out, when they buffed him. And their stance on that was just like, we've tested this, we've looked at the counters, we've looked at how this changes like every aspect of the game, and we just don't feel like the players have enough time and have tried enough things to understand how to properly counter him. So it's like while they look at Reddit and they look at Twitter and they look at all these things, it's just they really have to weigh whether it's as crazy as they have to act now or whether if they wait 2 months will players begin to learn how to counter these weapons, or maybe they're not as good as they think they are.
I mean, I feel like the Hemlock is just so obviously OP though. No gun should allow you to click your mouse or click your right trigger twice from whatever distance you want, because there is no distance. Wait, I'm sorry. Now I'm confused as fuck. Urban. Oh my God, I'm so retarded. I'm so dumb. Are you the general manager of Solafide?
That is my current role, yes.
Okay, Oddity, I'm sorry, dude. Urban is the general manager of Solafide. I am just beyond. Unfortunately, you see, so I'm confused. Okay.
Yeah, but I feel like
but I'm no longer confused. But 2 clicks and they're done. Doesn't matter how far away they are. That's kind of ridiculous a little bit.
I agree that it is on the upper end of weapons right now, but you always have, different characters or different weapons that will end up it'll lean towards them, right? Like we had the R9 for seasons. There's times when like Peacekeeper was like, the peak, and maybe they choose to put up mild nerfs, or maybe there's, they go care package.
Day 1 Wingman, that was a great weapon.
Oh, you mean 16 16 bullet wingman?
Wasn't it 12? It was 12, wasn't it?
Well, 16 if you include the time difference of when you could shoot. It was literally like super fast. Like in between bullets, they increased the time in between.
But yeah, so like I think right now we find ourselves in a burst weapon meta. Like as we see the
Solafide.
I guess the Prowler's gone. But they've kind of tuned the weapons so that the fully automatics aren't as good now as the bursts, and maybe we'll see a change. But
I don't know. Those burst weapons are quite ridiculous.
Yeah, as to sum it up, they do look at Reddit, Twitter, all these things. It's just they kind of pick and choose when it's right to act on the feedback and when they might be right.
I still feel like sometimes they take their time on it, but I'm glad to hear that they are looking at it though.
I mean, honestly though, like I do like to keep in mind, I'm definitely one of the more critical people and harsh people when it comes to what people are and are not doing when they could be doing something. But I definitely do appreciate what Apex and the team has been doing from home. I mean, keep in mind they're working from home during COVID season, and they're still giving us content. They're still trying to push patches out, regardless of how great or not so great people's opinions or thoughts of said updates may be.
So do they get insight from their top content creators?
I think that's a question for Urban because he probably knows the direct answer to that.
Yeah. Yes. We'll go with yes.
Okay.
To a stance. I'm not going to say what, because I mean, there's always the argument from Reddit that, hey, why do these people get, I will say yes. I won't say what to what degree.
Well, I think this is a good time to ask about competitive payouts. We said we would talk about it eventually, so here we are.
Yeah, definitely. It's always a interesting conversation. Let me gather my thoughts on this really quick, just so I don't get in trouble with Urban.
Yes, people do get paid joining organizations. That is that's part of the joining. It's a give and take.
Sorry, just consulting with my legal team here.
That's
so
okay. No, please. It's
totally
fine. It's totally fine. I'm gonna go into chat real quick and let Mason know. Actually, Mason, yes, any press is good press unless it's related to small peen.
So I think with prize pools, it's definitely diminishing. I'm not sure if COVID has a direct impact on that, but furthermore, I think the EA program limitations by only supporting certain orgs is another hindrance there. That's kind of where I stand on the whole topic. We can dive into that more if you'd like to.
Let's backtrack that. EA, you're saying EA doesn't support all organizations?
No. This is a tricky spot for us because obviously.
Some developers, there are developers so some developers do support organizations in a way.
Yeah, most definitely. Looking at your chat right now, just have to say shout out Natalie. Love Natalie. That's my wife, just so you know.
No way.
No, jokes. She's not my wife.
Look at me, bro.
But appreciate her. She's a real one. But
nice.
Yeah, so there's a lot of games that do support the organizations involved with them in terms of being at the top tier of their comp. So Rocket League, for example.
Okay.
I mean, I'll openly talk about this. We were in talks with some Rocket League people and looking to get involved in the space, and we could have had a pretty easy way into having SF skins in Rocket simply just for salarying and putting on a top-headed roster, which that's what they look for. They look for the people that are going to be at the top. They're competitive. They're looking to help those orgs because obviously it's not cheap. It's not in any way, shape, or form. It's expensive to be the top tier of any esport. Even Apex, for example, it still costs a lot of money to be involved in. Truth, the limited support. Hang on, consulting with my lawyer.
No, that's fine.
Take 10.
No, absolutely. While you do that, I'm gonna transition. Hey, real quick, Mason, because I have your stream share pulled up in my full screen. Whatever you want me to see, I need you to pull it up on yours. If you want me to see our DMs and stuff.
So
like
I mean, for example, okay. So now I have a good thought and good process we can go with this. So like Mason's looking at right now, this is when EA first announced the 12 different esports organizations that they were partnering with. It kind of hurt a little bit for us just because we were a top competitive team there, and it was like maybe we'll get a little bit of feedback from that and help continue, especially as a smaller org. It always helps.
So you're saying there's politics in this too, huh?
Politics and a business? You mean esports?
No way,
never.
Bro.
Come on, man. Everything's all like green fields and fairyland. Like it's perfect.
It can't be perfect, huh?
Realistically, I mean, we've definitely had our fair share of discussions about this, and we're optimistic that in the future we'll be part of that. But it definitely stings when you're the only team in North America that salaries a roster, and not just any roster. I mean, these guys are rated number 3. Like they're a top competing roster and you're the only organization in competitive with a top roster such as that we're the only organization that salaries a roster that isn't a part of this program nor given the invite to it yet. It definitely stings a little bit, you know.
Do you think that plays a role in that? Like, why would that be seen as a negative thing?
I'll comment.
Yeah, please. Like,
Yeah,
why would that be
let
seen
go.
by an organization as a negative thing, that you as an organization are salarying your content creators and your professional
It's not
team?
like from the negative there, obviously, it becomes like the returns organizations can get, and it's a big reason. Like, I've talked to some of my friends who work at other organizations, and like what it would take to get them back to Apex, right? Because I'm always curious, right?
Yeah.
And it comes from, like, if you look at games like R6 or Rocket League or any of these games where you get these, you get skins, or maybe like a lot of mobile games too. Like, we're talking tens of thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars for the year that they might get from these games for competing in them, whether that's through skin revenue shares or just, their esports program.
Okay.
We don't know, like, it's not public what these organizations are getting from EA. It creates a atmosphere where they're able to either give more, like, again, I'm assuming there's money in it because that's typically what you have to give an organization to get them to stay. But it creates an atmosphere where, maybe other organizations can't compete with that. So it's like, let's say, choose an organization that that's not an Apex right now.
TSM. Oh, that's not. I'm sorry. That's not an Apex right now. Shoot. What's the one with the horse? That's Liquid. I think they're in
Knights.
Yeah, the Knights.
Knights. Okay.
So let's say Knights wanted to
100 Thieves.
Oh, okay. Let's say 100 Thieves wanted to re-enter.
They were already
into
there, yeah.
Apex. Yeah.
Okay.
So, if they wanted to look at a roster, and let's say Rogue's contract ended with the players, right? And 100 Thieves were trying to compete for them. They wanted to sign them. Let's say Rogue's getting, pick a number, any number, random number.
10.
$10,000? $10?
$10,000.
Where are we going here?
10,000.
Okay, let's say they get $10,000 a month.
Okay.
Okay, that means throughout the year they got $120,000. That's what they can put towards their players, their management, and whatnot to either break even or get close to break even, maybe turn a profit.
Okay.
So if 100 Thieves wants to compete with that, like, that's money they don't get, right? So it's hard to either salary the players as high to be able to compete with that, or they're going to end up matching what Rogue's giving, and they're going to be turning a loss for the year.
Okay.
Right? So it just creates a bit of disparity. And if we look at, like, North America is a really bad one right now. If you don't count Series E, which I believe is in partnership with EA, and you currently look, I think there's 2 other organizations other than SF currently in Apex, not selling the rosters, but those are the ones who are even saying, hey, we like Apex. Like, most organizations have completely pulled out of the NA scene, and that is huge for the players and the impact it has on them, because salarying from an org isn't the world, right? Like, especially where Apex is now, it's not going to be everything. It's not going to be like
life-changing money.
Yeah, but what it is stability. So
Definitely.
it's money those players know they have. You need content, you need prize pool, you need these things to be able to live like a luxurious lifestyle. But that org money is going to be there. So when orgs aren't in there, they're not getting salary. These players are now having to focus more on their content, and maybe they don't play the tournaments. They don't do as well in the tournaments, or they're just struggling to get by. We see more players recently who are just either quitting the scene or making like public pleas that they need money to be able to pay for their rent or anything. That's largely because the way the competitive scene is now. That's my little spiel.
I'll dig into it a little more.
I think that makes a lot of sense, though. I mean, if you're joining a organization and you're used to just providing content, right, just shooting out this content, and now you're joining the organization as a professional player, you're gonna be likely participating more in tournaments. You won't have all the time that you used to have before. You have to kind of be able to get that monetization that you're going to lose elsewhere. And I guess that can come from the organization that you're within, getting money from the game developer and being able to spread that throughout all the content creators or the professionals within that organization.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely gonna go out on a limb and say something bold here, but I'm a really big believer, and I think I've preached this to everybody I met. I'm a really big believer that get what you work for, and when people don't get what they work for, I definitely get some hard feelings towards that. In terms of Apex, for example, I think a lot of people, it's kind of started to make its way through the grapevine. SF is a very well-funded organization. We've got the ability to do a lot of things that some T1 organizations probably couldn't even do, truthfully, if we really wanted to do it. But we were at a point in time when our older comp team was struggling to perform, that we were honestly going to step out of Apex. We were going to completely leave Apex because it really didn't make sense to stay into it. But I did recognize with aim assist and people around me. Now, looking at them prior, I was very hesitant because of the toxic things that can come from
Just
some of their mouths.
just to
But
confirm, when you say aim assist, you mean the team?
the team, yes. So
Okay.
designful result of gentrifying.
Got it.
I
I
was
just want to make
definitely
sure, because
hesitant
there
to
might be
say that,
someone in
but
chat that thinks you're literally talking about aim
yeah, no,
assist
I'm
itself.
talking about designful result and gentrifying. So when we were at that stage and our older comp team just wasn't performing and there was a lot of roster changes going on and we were kind of reevaluating whether we want to be in Apex.
Okay.
I was looking at it from the standpoint of we have the opportunity to do a lot of it for Apex. Truthfully, we've been in Apex since the start of it. Before I was even in SF, SF was still running lobbies on console in Apex. They were
Yeah,
doing
wasn't I
very,
mean,
very
wasn't
well.
SF kind of built around or
Console, yes,
built through
absolutely.
Apex?
Yes, it was.
Born from
Apex
it?
is the
Okay.
sole reason
Yeah.
that SF exists to this day. I mean, I remember Battle for the East. SF placed fourth, and it was a bunch of PC players, and everybody was like, "Wow, these controller kids from console just played on PC for the first time, and they just placed fourth in a real tournament." Shout out Battle for the East for never paying the people. But hey, looking at it for what has been put in from SF's side, it didn't make sense for us to stay in the scene. I mean, it's very, very possible for us to have an Apex content house, for us to be promoting, endorsing, and pulling in bigger creators that might not play Apex now that want to play Apex, but it's not worth it for us. It's really not. It's easier for us to go explore other games that are willing to not discriminate against the size of our organization and say, hey, you guys have the funding, you're putting this into this, you're willing to get a top contending team, we're going to give you skins in our game, we're going to help you, we're going to hook you up with these sponsors, we're going to put you here, we're going to put you there, you want to be on the news, there you go, you're on the news. We've gotten so much love from different games
Yeah.
in the terms of what we're willing to do for that game. It almost just wasn't worth it for us in Apex. But the only reason, truthfully, that we're still in Apex to this day
That was
is because of
that was going to be my next question.
it's because of aim assist. I see Resulta, Gentrifying, and Designful grinding their absolute asses off.
Okay. So
I had a talk with Designful about how he literally put absolutely everything on the line. It was either he was fucked and he was going broke, or he was going to make it as a creator. And look at him now; he's thriving.
I
I wasn't
know.
going to let I
Agreed. Yeah.
completely respect what
I
you guys have done.
yeah.
I can't knock it. I can't hate it. They might be a little toxic at times. They might say some things I don't agree with, but I love those boys. I appreciate
Yeah.
everything that they're doing for this organization. Their grind is unreal. And I was like, listen, we're either going to step out of Apex or we're going to pick up aim assist and we're going to help these guys continue to grow. And it was help those guys continue to grow because I understand what it's like to be at the bottom of the food chain. They've been hated on for being controller players. I know people used to meme them for being controller players, saying they're only good for controllers and aim assist. They are the longest standing team in Apex, to my knowledge. I don't think there's another team in Apex that has stuck together as long as these three, and they're not going anywhere. They're either gonna figure this shit out and win, or they're gonna sit there and yell at each other until they figure this shit out and win. They want it bad, but that's the only reason we're in Apex, truthfully. Like,
Okay.
I know in terms of EA, it doesn't make I get it. I completely get that
Yeah,
on
they do.
the business aspect. They can reach out to TSM, Liquid, and all these other organizations and give them money, funding, or whatever they are giving them for partnership.
Yeah.
To do a lot with the org because they have large creators. I mean, the CEO of Apex, Imperial Hal, he averages like 10,000 viewers for Apex Legends, right? Like that's
He's the
probably
CEO of
inaccurate,
Apex?
but basically, like he's
Yeah.
huge. He
So-
owns the viewership for it, right?
I do love the
Um,
fact that those guys were able to take all the negativity on aim assist and
They turned it into something great.
They turned it into
whole
they
brand.
didn't exactly. They were like, all right, fuck it. Y'all are gonna just be ridiculous about us. We're just gonna call our team aim assist. Like there's something
that's
about
why
that. There's
it's
something
so
about
great.
being able to do that's empowering to themselves, and it's really cool. I would totally grab that and the mentality that they established and they grasped on and they kind of worked with, and they say, screw it, we're just gonna call ourselves aim assist. I see Nicewig doing that all the time with his alternate accounts. He's always making a joke with the name, right?
Yeah.
Something about
Get
aim
the shit
assist.
with
It's like, fuck it, man.
now.
You want to be all ridiculous about it? All right, whatever. I'll roll with it. I think that's great, and I love the fact that they did that. I will say I 1v1 Designful recently, and kind of, I lost overall, but there was just one little play that he kind of.
Did you kill him once?
Oh, more than once, yeah. There was one
then
that
you
was
shit on
kind of
him, bro. He's
ridiculous.
just not
Oh,
bad.
dude,
He's just
there was
horrible.
one of them that he was
completely
like,
shit.
"Yo, relax." I'm like, "Okay, I'll relax. I'll tone it down a little bit." You know what I'm saying? It's all right though. He's okay. He's alright. He's alright.
Yeah, nah, he's bad at the game. Like I've got so many clips killing him, man. It's great. Like I don't know. Urban and I are actually starting a new comp team, and we're gonna take over for SF, I think, because we're just really good. But yeah, no, it's just a difficult conversation for me because as much as we love Apex, we're only in Apex right now until we can kind of see more viability out of it for the for aim assist. Honestly, I don't want to see their grind come to an end, and anything to help those boys continue. I know they're going to do great things, but I think Apex definitely has a lot of work to do on the organization standpoint, because sure, a smaller organization, but if that smaller organization is pulling in top tier creators, top tier competitive players, that's an organization that's established in your scene, whether you like to admit it or not. Like, I can go to a random chat and talk. Like, I can talk in house chat and they say, "Oh, SF Oddity, what's up? You're part of Solafide." That says something. That's a lot more than just you're nobody, because we aren't nobodies in the scene. We might not be massive. We are not TSM or Liquid or anybody like that, but in Apex, the relativity to this space, we are definitely something.
Well, and I mean, hard work and great content creators and a great pro team has gotten y'all there. And like I said from the beginning, that says a tremendous amount about all the work that's been put in to it, which, man, mad respects for that. 100%. I'm going to take this moment to engage with chat. All right.
All right.
So chat, show us what you got. All questions welcome, but that doesn't mean they will get answered. But all questions are welcome.
So real quick, can you can't see our DMs? I have to share my screen.
Yeah, because I'm not sharing. Oh, because if you're sharing your screen, it's with everyone in Discord. I see what you're saying. Mikey says he's upset he missed the beginning of it. It's all right, Mikey. We forgive you.
Thankful for you. This is a VOD. You'll be able to go back and
100%.
rewatch it.
100%. It's gonna go up on YouTube.
YouTube.
Never done YouTube before. Yeah, I'm new to that.
Oh, look at you expanding your content
I know,
platforms.
Man.
Huge.
That's what she said.
I was a little late, but that's okay. Better late than never.
That's what she said.
Twice.
Yeah, no, I think that was some really good conversation though, in terms of like
Heck yeah, man.
EA and SF. Great.
Solafide. Yeah, Crawlings, you're absolutely on the clock, dog. You said there was something polarizing you wanted to talk about. We gave you the platform. We're literally here. We're waiting
we're waiting on you.
We're literally waiting for this polarizing question, man. We're in suspense, waiting for it.
OHP Ray's here. You know, shout out OHP Ray. He runs a clan. Or are you guys an organization now? I know you were the OHP clan, but I don't want to misinform anybody. But they're console based right now. I believe they just signed a competitive PC team, and they've been doing some pretty cool things. So if you want to check OHP out, check them out. They're also another organization or clan that's been grinding in the Apex space. So
Mikey has a question. I don't know if you've got my screen pulled up. If you do, then it's right there.
If I didn't already miss it, what made you become a part of SF and ultimately decide to take SF under your wing and lead? Ultimately, I joined SF as a GFX designer, but it transpired into a whole lot more than that. But honestly, I think taking the lead for SF started when there was, and this isn't to put anybody on the spot because nothing but respect for everybody here, but there was definitely some lacking in terms of just basic business etiquette or things that could be improved upon in terms of how the org was ran or what could become of it, especially with the growing momentum behind the scenes that we had with Apex and everything along that front. Taking it under my wing was more so just applying all of the resource and knowledge in which I've been blessed to acquire from my dealings with all my current business ventures, truthfully.
Jay Dogging says, "Hey, Oddity, I have no idea who you are." Now he does. But can you explain how you came out of a full organization rebrand back in March? Which I'm glad you mentioned that, Dodging, because I have some questions in regards to that I don't want to forget to ask. To having one of the most cracked out Apex teams out there.
Short answer, money.
Yeah. Okay. It's simple, guys. It's simple. All you gotta do, contact Oddity. You'll be like, "Yo, money." I'll be like, "All right. You have my attention."
In esports, I feel like a lot of people they go through the notions of either being underpaid, not getting paid, or having a lot of issue along those lines. But at the end of the day, money talks. If you pay somebody, they're gonna come here. They're gonna do what you want them to do in terms of reasonable things, of course. We're not talking anything crazy. Don't want that to be taken out of context.
Oh, yeah.
But
are you kidding me? Nothing ever gets taken out of context on Twitch. Duh.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are you talking
Everything
about,
is
bro?
understood.
Everything is clearly understood under the right context, always on Twitch. Which leads me to my next question. Is it true you edit anime?
I can't say that I do, but I do know an amazing editor. His name's Isaiah MVM. He is a very good editor. He's on retainer currently with SF. He does a lot of work for Noob King Smith, one of our content creators. He's pretty cool. He's made a lot of our intros for welcome videos and whatnot. Isaiah's a really good editor. If you need work done, Isaiah is always looking for some work.
Isaiah. Yo, Crawlings. Yo, your time was like 5 minutes ago, dog. Does it have to be about video games? You said you had something polarizing, left us hanging. 5 minutes later, you ask, does it have to be about video games? Crawlings, you got to do better. World turns outside. You are correct. You are correct, Crawling. I mean, that's factual. But you can't leave us hanging like that, dog. Speaking of the rebrand in March, talk to me a little about, and Crawlings, if you have the question that's so polarizing, go ahead and say it in chat. I'll bring it up. But I'm going to move back to our main chat. Talk about the rebrand that happened with Solafide. I remember, I can't remember how long ago it was, but I remember seeing that y'all significantly reduced the amount of content creators you had, the amount of professional players you had. What was the whole concept behind that? Why did it happen?
So that wasn't the rebrand back in March. That was actually when I came on board. The ultimate decision going into that, and that's something a lot of people actually ask me about, is it's why do you have so many people in your organization? And it's not even that we have a lot of organization or people in the organization, truthfully, but a lot of people are looking at SF, and this is where we're in a weird spot. We're being compared to TSM, Liquid, Rogue, all these top contending organizations that are established, have these top creators and players, right? They're huge. They're in multiple games. They have franchise spots. They're all over the place. They definitely have a lot more rapport in the scene than we do. And people are failing to really look at and see SF is new. When you start an organization, you can't just straight up go and say, all right, we're going to go get the biggest team, the best players, and the coolest content creators. You can't do that. We weren't able to do that. I wish we could do that. That would make life easier. But it takes a collective movement, and that movement comes from the people. Our community, the people that we bring on, you have to utilize their ability, and you have to create something that's genuine to grow. So we've been in that really weird transition period where it's like, all right, we are a top performing Apex Legends team, an esport organization that started on Xbox, and we were running Xbox lobbies. But look at us now. We're a top competing team in Apex. We have top content creators in Apex. We're looking to expand into other games. We have a lot of opportunity, a lot of option at our doorstep. And to make that shift, yes, you do have to cut down. It's unfortunate. I appreciate everybody that's been in SF, everybody that has helped us get to where we are. But to compare SF and bag on SF for having so many people, it's almost ignorant, because you're not appreciating the process of becoming a T1 organization. I think that the overall mindset for a lot of the community is there's just a million members of SF. And I know a lot of people have been like, oh, congratulations, you cut a lot of people. But it's not really a congratulations. It's just we're evolving. We're changing, and we still have that family orientated mindset, and we care about our people and whatnot. And it's unfortunate, but sometimes you do have to trim people off, because it's not relevant to have 50, 60, 70 people in your organization if they average 2 concurrent viewers. It's unfortunate, because
Look,
I appreciate and I love everybody. I truly do. And this is not to bag on anybody that was in SF. It's simply that when you're trying to level up, you really have to level up. And I know that their grinds are going well, and they're continuing to do them, and they're going to keep growing. And I hope one day we can reconvene and sit down at the round table and say, let's sign that ink. Here's your salary. I'm going to support them until that day comes.
Boom.
But
That's it.
to become the next level, you can't have that many people. And SF is a transitioned organization right now. We're going through the motions of really switching it up and becoming on par, if not better than those T1 organizations. It's not something that you can openly just have 70 people a part of. And I understand that. I respect it. The process is unfortunate, but that is the process.
Well, and I'm glad to hear that SF has an owner that understands the business side of it, and that you can't please everybody, and that when you're growing, when you're attempting to expand and grow, there's decisions that have to be made. And what I find highly respectable and rare is I was able to witness through Twitter, through different social media, how a lot of the SF members who were not a part of staying on with the transitioning team into leveling up, as you put it, I literally saw, heard, read zero negativity from those people. If there was any negativity, it came from completely outside individuals, had nothing to do with it, that clearly didn't know enough to understand the whole concept behind it. And that says a lot about SF in itself, and how y'all were able to make it highly understanding. Exactly, just like Mikey's saying right now, because SF is a family. And so, dude, I honestly, I can't give you kudos, you and the entire SF team, kudos enough for that. It was very impressive to see, to witness that. where you guys did what you had to do. You leveled up. You went to a higher caliber of being a part of the esports scene, especially in Apex. And along the way, you had to make some changes. And those that were involved with those changes, they were like, hey, we completely understand, and we're going to keep grinding our butt off. And whenever the opportunity comes by, like you said, they'll sit at the round
Yeah,
table. So that's awesome, man. That really is. And I'm glad that we were able to talk about that.
those
And
are tough decisions too. Like honestly, like a
yeah,
lot of people.
I'm sure.
I mean, I come off as a prick, an absolute prick, and I know that.
Do you? Do you really,
I
though?
Mhm.
I don't
Yes.
You
know.
ask a couple people what they think about me, and that's what they'll think. And I know that, and I'm not gonna shy from it. It's just who I am. I'm blunt. I'm very direct, and I don't have an empathetic bone in my body. But in terms of those conversations, they were real
Stop it.
conversations.
I don't think that's
People,
factual. I do think you have an
uh,
empathetic bone in your body, but that's okay.
all right. Well,
Continue.
but with those conversations, like even leading up to the point, it was made very known that we were going to be making changes. We need people to start stepping it up, kicking it into the gear, and that everybody was not going to be re-signed. It was one of those transitions where people knew the outcome of what was coming, what was happening, and although the conversations might have been a little dry or sad or not fully satisfying to the interests of everybody involved, I'm very proud to say there was that level of understanding where people understood. They know why, they know the reasoning. It's not like, oh, we don't like you, because that's just not the case. It's not at all in any way, shape, or form.
Well,
It's just part
doesn't
of.
that have a lot to do with them trusting you and like you
I
being able
think
to
that's it.
establish a relationship with everyone that is within the SF organization, to where whatever it is that you're telling them, they're like, hey, I trust this person, and if it's in the best interest of SF, and eventually down the line we can have a different conversation and be a part of it, whatever's clever, you know what I mean? Like it's moving in that direction.
Yeah, most
So
definitely. I think that has
that's
a lot to
awesome,
do
man.
with it. But
May or may not
I
be
could.
the reason that we decided you were the best guest for episode 1. Just saying.
I mean, I appreciate it. I'm honored to be here.
Same, man. We really are honored that you're here. All right, man. Well, shit. I feel like we've kind of dabbled with everything we possibly could when it comes to Solafide and everything that you guys have been able to accomplish. And it's really what I wanted to do the most, is just have organic conversation with you and let anyone that's in chat and anyone that's going to watch this later on know more about you guys and about you and how y'all got to where you are today, where you look to be in the future. So if there's anything else that you feel like you want to talk about or share?
I don't know. Let's take a look at Discord really quick and make
Yeah.
sure I'm not missing anything. If you want to do the same.
Yeah.
Not 100% sure.
Lady Venom says SF is going to do great things. But Lady Venom also said I needed to ask her about you and your empathetic when your host leaves Discord, shaking. I left Discord? No way.
Let's make sure we don't miss anything. Okay, bye.
I was totally testing y'all. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to talk. Hey, I wanted to talk to chat without being interrupted by y'all. It worked though. Whatever it was that I was testing, it worked. So, like I was saying, Lady Venom said that SF is doing great things, and she also said that I could ask her about whether you do or do not have an empathetic bone in your body, and I truly believe you do, Oddity. But I think I asked you this question earlier, but I don't believe I got an answer, or we got caught up into something else. But someone came in the chat and they mentioned that there's no female streamers on your team, which I know for a fact is not true. And
yeah,
we've had personal conversations in the past, and something that you've expressed is your desire to see more women represented, especially within Solafide and in the gaming industry, to at least give them the appropriate and equal platform to provide content and to have a platform that offers that. So tell us more about that.
In terms of that,
Yeah,
it's all definitely a tricky question. In terms of like females being involved in esports, is there like a more direct question that you could
so
kind of
why?
just
So okay, I'll put it to you in my perspective. I see a lot of people saying things like it's not an even playing field, for example, which I don't personally agree that it's not an even playing field. I think the playing field is there. I don't think anyone is purposely mandating that someone do or do not do something. However, do you, as an esports organization owner, do you think that there is esports organizations and or teams that are not giving enough attention to female content creators or female professional gamers that within the same standards that we hold all gamers are not given the attention they deserve?
I will say 100%. I do believe there is some form of misogynistic behavior in esports,
Okay.
and I'll give you my example why. Every talent agency I've ever hit up, and I will put them all on the spot right now, whether
Okay.
this gives me hate or not. They give me a list of their top guys, and then they follow up with, these are the ladies that we have available as well. It's never an inclusive list of just, these are our content creators. It's, here are our guys, and then following up with the message, here are the ladies we have available.
Okay.
That's the strongest point in terms of inclusivity for women in the space that I can really make off of my experience. Now, I'm also a very firm believer that when it comes to whether it's competitive or content creation, you're going to get what you put in. I
Okay.
think that the ability to work hard and put your content above everything else shows for itself. I mean, I have content creators that are female that are doing that right now. For example, Jenna XO, she's absolutely amazing. She's got like 2 million followers on TikTok. She puts a lot of time and effort into her content. And I know gaming in general isn't her largest platform, source of income, or means by any way, shape, or form. To provide an all-inclusive platform, I know for a fact that there is a divide. I don't believe that the divide is fully justifiable. I think there's work that needs to be done on both ends. I think that the grind creates more opportunity than anything else. The more work you put in, the more effort you put in. If you are a top player and you go and shit down the throats of some top performing competitive players, I think you're going to get recognized for it. I think you
Okay.
should be recognized. But at the same time, I also know that some people disregard the gender and say, oh, well, she's a girl. Or, like I said, talent agencies that just send me lists of guys and then say, oh, by the way, here are the ladies we have involved. They kind of get pushed to the side in terms of what I've experienced so far in the industry. But I know that effort outweighs everything else, and your ability to create your content or your gameplay and grind is what's truly going to shine. So in the Apex scene in particular,
Yeah.
I really, for example, there's one Apex girl in particular that I've really kind of taken like an interest in, just like watching and seeing her growth. Her name's Janie. Um, she grinds. She's really talented at the game, and she just goes ham. She plays in ALGS and everything, and her stream's been blowing up. She's been getting a lot of standing in the community. She's gotten
Nice.
huge hosts from some like major pros, and it's awesome to see because I know that her grind is a direct benefit, not related to if she's a woman or a male. It's just her grind. Her ability in game is speaking far past her gender.
I love that.
And that's just how I see the scene. I see the scene as something where if you're truly good at what you're doing and you're doing it well, you should get recognized. Now, if somebody comes along and like disavows or completely disregards such talent or capacity mentally to
Yeah.
do that grind, then yes, that's misogynistic and they don't need to be in the scene. There's no space for
Period.
that. I don't think
Period.
that's something that should be accepted. But I mean, there's definitely a divide. I think that divide, hopefully, something we're working at Solafide, like, I mean, as gaming becomes more mainstream and its core base starts to settle. I mean, we
Yeah.
definitely have noticed that misogynistic virtue of the space, but ripping opportunity from females and preventing them from accomplishing the same as male, that's just unacceptable. That's something that I won't stand for.
Agreed.
We won't stand for, and I will always do my best to bring women into our organization as long as they fit what we're looking for. They have to fit the bill. I'm not sexist in any way, shape, or form. I'm not going to look at a woman and say, "Oh, you're a woman, you get to be here." No, that's not it. Just like I'm not going to go look at an Apex Pro and say, "Oh, you're a pro, you get to be." No, that's just not
I'm
it.
with you. I'm
You
with you
have to
100%.
have the right
And
character
and
to do
honestly, I
such a thing.
love to hear that because it's important that we hear from people like you because you gave an example that, and Urban, I saw your message. Yes, I want you to share your experience. I'm just gonna respond to Oddity real quick and give my two cents, and I definitely want to hear from you. When you Oddity, when you engage and you share from an owner's perspective that when you receive lists, etc., when you have agencies contact you and send you top lists or whatever, and you notice that their top lists always include males, those are the type of specifics that are super important for the common individual to know about because they're going to put a microscopic focus on some of the things that are said, like trying to balance the playing field. It's easy for someone that doesn't know that information that you just shared to say, well, what exactly are we trying to balance here? You know what I mean? And I'm glad that you were able to share that. And I'm also glad to hear that as an owner of a esports organization, even though you go out of your way to praise um, growth in regards to overall not only acceptance but accurate praise to all players, including female players and content creators, that you hold everyone to the same standard. And if it just so happens that that same standard is met by someone who is a male or a female, the same and equal praise will follow. We need more people like that, in my opinion, to be owners and to be motivators and to be leaders in the esports community, to really come to an outcome that truly embodies what we're all looking for at the end of the day. So I'm really glad that we were able to talk about that and you were able to share that.
I think one thing I'd just like to add in there, like
Yeah.
another example of somebody really quick.
Yeah, good. And I do want to get Urban because he wanted to share his experience today.
Yeah, absolutely. So like in terms of like female content creators that like I've seen or that have been growing, like I've seen a lot of hate and I hope she doesn't mind me mentioning her here, but I'm sure everybody knows Clara at work. I actually really appreciate the grind that she's put in that I've witnessed, because before she even started streaming, her capabilities in terms of networking, they were amazing. I always noticed her in like so many people's streams before she even started streaming herself. She was always in there subbing, supporting, shouting out, helping, modding, doing everything she possibly could for these creators that ultimately ended up being like her friends and hosting her and helping her attribute to her success of reaching Twitch partner and all of these things. But it's just that attribute of like she went through the process of doing what needed to be done to grow her own content creation brand and channel and stream and platform. And regardless of if she was a male or a woman, she did the channels the proper way. She achieved what she is now the proper way. She put the work in, and now she has something to show for it. So I don't think there should be any blurred lines in terms of whether you're a male or female or identify as anything else along those lines. You should be able to simply appreciate the process. And I think that's just something that's so far overlooked, and people are digging way too deep into what somebody is, truthfully.
Yeah, I love that, man. There's not much I can say to add to that, because I fully agree with you. I wish more people that are part of the leadership team of organizations in general, whether it's esports or anything else, should have more of that type of mentality, period.
Yeah,
and it goes significantly beyond just gender or biological sex, whatever it is. It goes beyond that. It's just a fact of appreciation and the same amount of appreciation, the same amount of respect for work put in and the outcome of that work put in. And again, it's refreshing and it's needed to hear from an owner of a esports organization that there are instances that you can see, especially hearing where you come from and knowing how you look at things in a very constructive manner, that, hey, sometimes there are instances that there is just ridiculous, unnecessary sexism. But I feel like the way that you're taking about it, the way you're going about it, in my opinion, is the way where change will happen down the road. And I would like to hear from Urban.
What's up?
Talk to me.
So I mean, Oddity did a pretty good job on the overall thing. I've been in esports and competing and playing games for quite a few years, and there's been different circumstances that have really, I guess, stood out to me that I thought I could maybe provide some insight and a different perspective, because I think the big thing is, and a lot of people agree on, is like equal effort and time and stuff like that should have the same result, whether you're a man or a female.
Yeah.
In esports or in anything else in life. The problem with that is just because let's say a player A, player B both put in 2,000 hours into a game doesn't mean they're going to have the same outcome. And it's not because someone's a man or a female. It's likely how they're playing or who they're playing with. Because I know as a player, and I've had friends who've gone and competed with other people, you learn a lot based off like who you're playing with and the atmosphere you're around. I've seen people who've been mediocre go and get a chance with, top competing professionals in games, and their skill level just jumps. When you see games start out, whether that's Apex or, some previous BRs like CS and stuff, I quite often see people who may have started at the same skill level consistently get left behind because people refuse to play with them, typically because they're a girl. People say that's not the reason, but I mean, I've seen it time and time again with different people. I've been in played random CS:GO like ESEA pugs, and you know, you get like one of the CLG red girls on your team, and she'll be like the IGL for a competitive roster. She'll try to IGL our team, and people just like completely disregard her because she's a girl.
Okay.
She has more experience, she's more competitive, but it's just the way things are, and it comes down to the fact there are a lot of misogynistic roots that have kind of developed in gaming. And it's difficult because, you know, as things begin to ramp up, like it's just, you need more and more intervention, I guess, to try to reverse it, right? Like there's just not enough push that's happening, I feel like, where like, let's say right now in Apex, right?
If I may add to that real quick before I forget, because I will.
Give her.
I will say, I feel like when there is more adversity, the outcome of that typically comes with a greater response. So because there is as much adversity as you're saying there can be, and I agree with you in regards to that, that is going to motivate the right person. Someone is going to get extremely motivated by that adversity, and their outcome, their reaction, it's almost like the aim assist team, where everyone was talking about controller and aim assist and all that stuff, and they took it in a way. And I'm not saying that we don't need to do anything about it. Of course not. We absolutely do. Everyone does. But I have high hopes or high anticipations for regardless of whatever the adversity might be, that is going to feed someone in the proper way to where they're just going to prove it for themselves that it's BS. I mean, you know what I mean? We know it's BS. All three of us here know it's BS. Yeah.
Respectfully, I would completely disagree to that.
Okay.
Mainly because like the people that I'm speaking of are the people who are already like, they are at that hunger level. They can't be more devoted to the game. Like they're people who are already putting in every moment they can, whether they're already working part-time jobs to be able to pay for their grind, or you know, maybe they're already, you know, like the CLG red team, like they're already salaried, playing full time, like that's their thing. They can't do more. It's just the opportunity and how people respond to that. Like there's not more they can do in that regards. They can't be
I know. What I'm saying is that the adversity is only going to fuel them more. That's what I mean by that. Like it's not like it's
just different atmospheres, and I don't know, but to give a different side of it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Back in H1Z1, this would have been 2016, I believe. I was competing for a bid, and after competing, I was just, I guess I'll say, consulting for an org. On how, because I was quitting, and I was like, you know, they need a new team after that, because I was like, you know, it just wasn't working out by the time I wanted to quit with the rest of the roster. So I brought to them this roster. It was 5 girls. All of them had streams. All of them competed daily. They scrimmed. They did everything. The results were about similar to what I think I would say like the next best free agent team is. I brought it to the owner, and he's like, I love this. I love it. And I'm like, okay, sweet. Would you like me to give you the contacts? And he's like, yeah, this is great. You know, our jersey sales are gonna be amazing, and then we can go pick up another competitive roster on the side to actually win. That was his response. It wasn't, okay, sweet, we have a female team now, let's go win, or you know, let's do this. It's okay. We're gonna make a bunch of jerseys, right? Yeah, and then we'll go pick up an actual competitive team, because like they obviously can't be competitive, and it's just like,
yeah. Well, but I feel like that's not that problem is originated from that individual. That individual is an idiot.
I would say that, but without like doing too much name dropping. The reason he thought that was because of his relationship with another org that did that already.
Sure, but that's still an idiot person. I simply can't. But what I was trying to say was adversity.
No, that wasn't in response to your thing. That was like just the overall what I want to say.
Yeah, sure, and I'm with you that does happen, and that person just doesn't have the right mindset, clearly. I mean, they're not fully, and it's sad, honestly, especially with someone like yourself. You're going out there and you're finding a cracked team, and it just so happens that they're all women, but that should have literally no impact, whether it's all women or all men, period.
Yeah, that's the point with like, you know, how I guess how things get rooted, right? And how that problem persists. Because, you know, as you look at talent development, then let's say, you know, an organization picks up both rosters, right? And they're then throwing like coaching staff and whatnot. Like if even at an ownership level, that's their opinions, it does affect like, you know, where the staffing might go or the overall resources from the team. And that's just, you know, it's a problem that really needs to get addressed. I think it's just kind of the way I sum it up, was just the fact that I would kind of give some of those experiences I had in the past like that, where it's like, hey, this roster's great, and it instantly gets, you know, disregarded or kind of spun in a different way.
Well, and I'm going to use an example here, and I think it's important that I do. for example, I can also go out there and use the example of what happened in League of Legends. And by the way, Oddity, I read it. And for League of Legends, there was a team that attempted to go the all-female route. But my whole thing about this is they did it for that reason and for that reason only. And it was counterproductive, in my opinion, to the movement that all three of us have agreed on already tonight, that the movement of it should not matter, obviously, what a person's gender is. The only thing that matters is work put in and the result of that, right?
Can I hop in real quick?
Sure.
Yeah.
And the League of Legends thing, they did it the other way, and the result was a horrible one, and in my opinion, it was a counterproductive one, because it only gave those people that are toxic, like the example that you gave earlier, Urban, more reason to continue to be toxic. So that's why I was saying that when we have people like Oddity say the things that he said, and yourself as well, Urban, doing things in a way that is more of a proper motivation and incentive way of doing it, it's going to eventually lead to the outcome that all of us want to see.
So I mean, I'm just gonna kind of like go into that with the ideology that an all-male roster just because they're male is no good. Just like a all-female roster just because they're female, it's no good. It goes back to the inclusivity of if you're good at your role, you're good at your role. Whether
Mhm.
you're a female, male, and whatever else you could possibly identify as.
Yeah.
I don't think that you should be determined. Your skill level should not be determined by what you are. It should be solely based on your ability in game. Specifically talking to esports, I know that could be applied to any business or job
Sure.
in
Yeah.
America or the world even.
But we should
I
totally
think
call
that-
out the times where there is ability from someone that is not being allowed to share that ability because of a certain specific, whether
Yes,
that be gender.
absolutely.
And that's what I'm trying to say. That you did a perfect example of that. You straight up used an example. You gave an example. You said, look, as an owner, I've seen it, and here's when I've seen it. And it needs to happen less, and here's what I think as an owner I can do to motivate it and to incentivize it that it happens less. More of that will equal the outcome that all of us want, which will be us not having this conversation at all. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. I don't know if you feel the same, Irvin, but that's where my head sits with it.
To kind of loop back with the, I guess, female rosters and stuff, I know there's been a few times, like in the past, I've tried helping people like build rosters in a while or whatnot. And, like, I know I've had some girls who are looking to try to build a roster, and they're like, in there, it's like, will not build female roster. Like, they put in like brackets, like made it clear there's zero interest there just because like the, how it goes. But
yeah,
no, I 100% agree with you that, like, I think going out and trying to, purposely build like female rosters can be tough, mainly because of, I guess, how it is like right now with like, if we look at like Oddity right now with like, if you have like Janie right now, like as he's saying, like really putting the grind and like kind of like zoned out a little bit
sure
there. But like, let's say, teams are really as strong as their weakest link. So if you're trying to take, I guess, a smaller group of people, which I'd say right now is like females, like, a competitive Apex, right? If you look at most teams, I think there's 5, 6 girls I can think of in like competitive Apex right now. Like I'm talking about like consistently competing in LGS, I would consider that.
Okay.
With. So if you're trying to build a roster, and let's say, you're okay, let's go build a best girl team, right? Like the best girl in that might be on TSM's level, right? The second one might be on Rogue's level, and the third one might be on I don't know, like I guess I was gonna say Godsend, but like Flashpoint, right? So if you then merge them together, you're really taking the opportunity from like the best girl, just to try to build like, trying to fight the stigma. You end up maybe worsening it, if that makes sense. I don't know. I'm
Sure.
kinda like
I
completely
fully
going off
understand
on
what
it,
you're
but-
saying, and that's exactly my point too. I agree with that. It's almost a impossibility to attempt to try and remedy or fix an issue that you is an issue in front of you, but that going that way or utilizing that specific type of remedy, which is almost like a forcing, is going to end up actually being counterproductive to that remedy itself that you're trying to fix. It's a very, very
sure.
difficult thing. It's
Can
almost
I put some 2 cents
please.
in for
Yes,
that? Like
yes.
this is like a complete tangent that just correlates with this overall. Like personally, like just being in esports and being an owner behind one, like trying to figure out ways that we can implement more female friendly type things is, and I know I've talked to you about this, Urban, is I mean I have genuinely considered a female only content house, because obviously mixing female and male, just from the legal standpoint and business standpoint, that could cause a lot of issues if any party did something unorthodox, right? Like I think we can all agree on that. It's not, there's no separating male from female or any way, shape, or form, but there's the ability for a lot of bad things to happen from the clash of that in the same household living together. I think that's a very safe statement to say.
Okay.
I don't think anybody should be able to agree or be able to argue me on that.
I will quickly add that would go viral on TikTok in about 5 seconds
Mm-hmm.
as far as a content.
Yeah, so like I
standpoint.
have, like for SF as a whole, I have genuinely looked at a female only content house, moving a ton of females, or not a ton, but like at least a handful to a house, housing them, putting them there, letting them just do whatever they want content creation wise, because obviously you can't, like mixing, it just adds a lot of unwarranted and not ideal situations should something happen, and that's just the protection of the business that needs to be taken, and it's a step that is necessary. Like it's unfortunate, but that is something that needs to be addressed and understood by the scene and the community. But
Are we conceptualizing Real World Streamers Edition right now live?
maybe maybe you're onto something right
I'm
now.
going to go ahead and
but,
live trademark this. You cannot take this, steal this in any way, shape, or format. I have a legal team, Urban, right now. He's working on the trademark, so please continue.
That's really unfortunate because Urban's legal team is my legal team. They work for me.
Well, you know what? Mason, get on that real quick. Just kidding.
But no, like look, just strictly from like my perception of what we're looking to do, like that's something I've definitely had on the table. I want to do that because I think it would be an amazing opportunity for not only the women involved, but the scene. I think it would break some stigmas and really just show the power of like, hey, it doesn't matter what you are. If your content's good, and people are gonna watch it. It doesn't matter past that point. Like you just have to be putting good content out, and that's what I'm looking for, is like people that are able to do such a thing. But like Urban was kind of saying, in terms of how he's run into people that are like, we want male onlys or like no females or anything like that. Like that's crazy to me. Like
Yeah, and you know, I wish we would call that out more often.
Yes,
You see
I
what I'm
think
saying?
that needs to be
I
put
feel
on
like
blast,
if
and
those
whoever
things
says
are
that,
called out
canceled.
more often, we will remedy. I feel like calling those instances out more often will remedy what we all want to see significantly faster than allowing people to attempt to do these forceful actions that are only counterproductive to what we all want to see happen, that we've all four of us right now on the call have agreed we all want to see.
Yeah,
So,
most definitely.
a few things I guess to touch up on. Like one, like talking about it. Like obviously that with everything is a
Sure.
huge solution, right?
Yeah.
Problem is, it's a lot easier to say than do it, because a lot of times, whether it's everyone in esports like is young, they don't have a lot of real world experience. And like I know personally, not speaking out about like that specifically, but other things, like I've always been very outspoken about a lot of stuff. And the amount of times I've had someone threaten to sue me in the last 3 years is remarkable. And I'm 22. So like since I was like 19, I've had just corporate people being like, you can't do this, like you can't talk about this.
Lucy, thank you so
blah,
much
blah,
for the
blah.
raid, brother.
Like, it happens a lot.
Thank you.
Like, for a lot of people, it's a big thing to ask, right? Especially
Yeah.
when it becomes their careers on the line and whatnot, to expect them to do that. And is it the right thing to do? Yes. Is it realistic to ask people to put themselves in a situation where they might be seeing a lot of real world repercussions? I don't know. But as to what Oddity said, because I wasn't going to mention anything there on that side, but it's kind of funny this came up, because I know that's been something that we talked about 2 months ago, up to like 30 minutes before this podcast, we were talking about, this whole topic, and
Yeah,
it's an interesting one.
Well, I will say, from just my own opinion, I love to hear what y'all are saying, and it sounds like y'all are going to be doing trailblazing type of movement that, in my opinion, is ultimately going to end up creating the type of outcome that we're all trying to see. And I know the pun is not intended, but organic outcomes outweigh forced outcomes any day of the week in any scenario, period. You'd have to provide significant evidence to convince me otherwise. And the type of work and ethic that Oddity is and you, Urban, are talking about putting into to create that type of atmosphere that creates that type of outcome is the type that actually does make a difference in the long run. That will make the people that said, "Oh yeah, cool, we could totally sell like a bunch of merch and then we'll get like another team to like actually win." Those people will no longer exist because that conversation won't even exist anymore, because the outcomes and what's being witnessed will significantly outweigh anyone from saying that, period.
I mean, to kind of like encapsulate like what you just said, I feel like the ultimate outcome of what somebody does or is if you're forcing an outcome by the initiative, it completely, utterly, and instantaneously devalues what it's worth.
100%.
You can't say, hey, this is a male-only team, or hey, this is a female-only team, or hey, this is a tree-only team. That devalues the point of having that team. No, if you say, hey, this is a team, for League of Legends reference, our top is male, our mid is female, our jungler is female, our bot is male, and our support is male, something like that. It goes without saying, if they're performing, it's not devalued. It's strictly the point of they're performing. It's, hey, this is what it is. When you force that narrative on anything or anybody, it devalues it. Like,
Sure.
I'm sorry, but anybody that says this is a XYZ only team, it's like, oh, well, okay. Why isn't it not a this type team? Or is this not welcome here? Like, I feel like the ability to succeed is just limited by just labeling something a exclusive, essentially.
Did you see what happened earlier?
What, you think we're talking about mustache?
Yeah, you might
Mason,
want
as in
to
the mustache on
download
his
this
face?
VOD before you get banned, Mr. Slim.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I was gone for 40 seconds.
I know.
Yeah, this shit got shown.
Not that
You
much.
don't even know what we just talked
Not
about.
that much could have happened in 40 seconds. There's literally no way.
You're about to be surprised.
Okay. Well.
Okay, actually pull up my screen. Pull up my screen.
I don't know why he thinks I was joking, but
I don't know actually. Now you're kind of making me worried slightly.
you
in a
actually
way.
should be. I am completely serious, but
How serious?
yes.
So we're
99.9% serious.
We were showing a video of the Bills tailgate.
One second, I'm trying to find your screen. What?
Oh
is
yeah, there was an ass. There was an
There was-
open ass on your
There
stream.
was
I
an
hope you
open
understand.
ass. Boy. It
There's
was
no
just-
way there was something on my stream. The only thing on my stream was
No, because you left while showing his screen the first
No.
time.
Yeah.
The first time.
Oh, what's
That's
it-
why I was in your chat. I said
Damn.
you should ask Mason what happened when you were
Oh,
gone.
nice. I did not see that. Mason, did you show ass on screen? Yo, what kind of ass?
Like old fat man ass.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't like,
Yeah.
was it like against TOS ass?
I'll
I
let
feel
the
like
Twitch
all
partner
ass is
answer that one.
usually
Damn,
all
is
ass.
all ass against TOS, bro?
It's all bare ass, yes.
No way, Mason. What is problem?
Fortunately, he had a either like a jersey.
I don't think there is a fortunately.
or-
I don't think there's a
It was
fortunately.
like a half ass. Like
Yeah,
the upper ass was
fortunately, it
covered.
wasn't like his entire ass. Like,
Listen, all I'm gonna say is it's not my stream, so I don't care.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. That only validates your
Yeah,
earlier.
let me not pull it up because I don't want it to appear twice. So
That's what she said.
Here, let me show you what type of ass it was. Here
yeah,
go.
you can pull it up
Jesus
after
Christ.
the stream.
But
is
yeah, you
over.
should
Well,
download the
Lady
VOD,
Venom said that it wasn't pretty. I'm gonna take her word for it.
Okay, anyways, back to what we were talking about.
Yes,
I was showing this demographic, and I was.
I'm
I was
so
trying to
glad that you brought
formulate-
that up because I was gonna ask a question regarding that. But go ahead.
I was trying to formulate a question, but I couldn't really put it into words. Maybe you can. I was trying to ask from a business standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this 65% compared to this 35% between male and female,
Okay.
and that's where I'm struggling to formulate the question.
Okay.
Is
So I have a question in regards to this.
okay. Go ahead. Let me see if.
So, and this is going to follow along the same lines of what we were talking about prior to me going to the restroom. As a female streamer, would y'all agree with what I'm about to say?
I don't know.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm trying to compose it. If I feel like content creators that are women, based off of this percentage right here that we have in front of us are likelier to be able to engage and more, I guess, quickly create, gain, increase their content creation strictly following a monetization. Do y'all agree that that may decrease the amount of motivation that may be had to pursue a professional or more skill-based,
So
inducive income versus strictly content creation? And I'm asking that question. I'm not trying to insinuate anything by it. I'm strictly asking
I'm just
that
going to
question.
sum it up, I guess, to make sure I'm on the same page.
Yeah.
So you're
Well-
asking if they can monetize their content creation better so it motivates them from professional play?
Yes. If I knew personally that content creation was going to generate more income or monetization, I should say.
I would say no. Mainly because just older esports content creation virtues where people usually didn't get into this stuff for money. They're usually heavily underpaid, and that's just kind of how it is. Very few people used to get into content creation esports for the money. It was more of just a passion. So a lot of people I know who was doing content did it because they were passionate about content, or they competed. It was because they're passionate about competing. It wasn't because they thought they could make more money in one avenue versus the other. So I wouldn't see that being a huge decider. Maybe newer blood into the scene that could be seen as a change. Maybe people who are now looking into it, if they see, I don't know if that's really a demographic thing. I don't think that's really the deciding factor there. But if they see there's more opportunity in content creation, they might decide to go there versus attempting to compete. But I'm not sure if that's really a demographic question.
Well, and that's something I've thought about a lot, and I have felt like the fact that, and this is opinion based, I feel like female streamers and especially content creators tend to statistically more quickly generate following and monetization at a significantly higher pace than males do. And I think that's significantly relative to the demographic and percentage of who engages in monetizing Twitch, meaning engaging in it in a monetizing manner.
Can I dig into something heavy right here?
Please, go ahead.
So I think that is 100% correct, but I'm also going to say I think that, and this might get me into a lot of trouble, so Irvin, tell me if I just straight up say shut the fuck up if I need. Yeah, just straight up tell me shut the fuck up if I have to. Not even through Discord. Cause I'm
See,
not
I
in
like
Discord.
this. I like it when you have to ask your counsel. That means I'm doing a good job.
Yeah, no, so with gaming being predominantly dominated by males,
statistically, I think it's actually very close to 50-50 on demographic, what people pushed out. I think from an open public standpoint,
Mustache Nation, this is all you, brother.
Male heavily from statistics
I love it. I love
seen,
4
it's been
people.
quite close.
But anyways, so I'll just go off my initial notion that it's male dominated and the scene is male dominated.
What scene?
That
do you think the content creation scene
gaming
is?
No, gaming. Gaming.
Okay.
I'm going gaming.
What about content creation?
So I'm completely bisecting content creation, and I'm making it all inclusive to gaming.
Roger
I'm saying
that.
gaming
Roger that.
right
Go
here.
ahead. Go ahead.
Because content creation is still digested by the gaming industry.
Got it.
When I say that, I'm gonna say that I don't think it's a far-fetched accusation to make that the natural desire of a male and the biological makeup of what men and women are, and when it comes to sexual desire and lust, I think that it does definitely play a factor in that, and that's a-okay in my opinion. I think that if you have a platform and you're able to do something with it, go for it. I am not going to judge you for making your bag in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
You are making your money, you are doing what you want to do, and there is no hate to be had on that. But I think it is very safe to say that the desire and lust is there 110%, and that's a very real thing. I don't think it would be even appropriate to disregard that, truthfully.
You talking about desire of watchers, like
I won't disagree with that, especially it's not even a one-sided thing. I know when I used to stream, every single one of my top donators was a girl. Most of my community were female. Or was female.
Are you a good-looking guy?
Urban is so hot.
I was about to be like, yo, you must be a real good-looking dude, bro.
Do you look like
people
John
just
Snow?
people just use
He looks like Johnny Sins.
Whatever, bro. Don't try to undersell yourself.
Yeah,
You're a good-looking guy,
for
right?
my voice. That's all.
Oh yeah,
Bro.
is that it? Is it only your voice?
It's only my voice.
Okay,
It's
but
not.
that's enough.
He's Johnny Sins.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but I think that's fair. But
And
one thing I will say, going back into, I guess, how you said, females might have, I don't know the wording you use, so correct me if I'm wrong. I'll say an easier time, I guess.
No,
with,
no, no.
initial
I made
growth,
damn
or...
sure I didn't say easier because I didn't want to.
Okay.
I didn't want to
So I'll
attempt
say they'll
to
find
say
growth at a more like rapid rate.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Earlier on.
Yes. Okay. Yep.
However,
Mm-hmm.
alongside that, I would say that I believe statistically they also have a lower peak.
Okay. I
find if you look at like, you know, top streamers and whatnot, you'll see that that kind of side of things is usually very male dominated.
But that's almost entirely the point I'm trying to make in regards to it goes hand in hand with what I believe Oddity was trying to say earlier when it comes to the more effort you put in, 9 times out of 10 on the results side of it, you're going to see the higher payout. So I personally believe it's unfortunate that we have a unfortunate combination of two things. Disincentivized women in the professional gaming industry. They obviously, based off what they are saying, and we need to listen to what they are saying, they are not being properly motivated and incentivized to go the professional route. And because of what you just said, that they have a quicker and faster gaining of monetization and followership and viewership, whatever, on the content creation side, that almost is an additional demotivation or non-incentive to pursue a professional gaming, where males feel like they almost have to, unless you're like some of the rarities, and I'm going to go ahead and include like Daltouche and others. Even though he's cracked at the game, he also has a means of focusing and engaging content-wise that, in my opinion, exceeds most others, where as a male, most of the time, you have to be really ridiculously, utterly good at whatever it is you're doing, whatever game you're playing, to gain that type of quick, fast motivation. And it's a combination of those two things that may be leading to us not seeing.
I'm going to cut you off for a second. You're now at 80, Mason, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Mm-hmm.
What would you say the ratio is, male to female?
I don't think I've seen one.
Of what?
A single female.
You've never seen a female?
Just looking at top. This is
whatever their rating is, which I guess it's based on concurrent viewer. Well, it goes off concurrent viewers, followers, views, and stream time.
Oh, I can change it. Okay. Yeah, here we go.
Okay, so apparently you've seen 2, as Aya said, but that's still 2 in like 80.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's where I'd say, like, you know what, as much as you might be able to...
Here, this is total.
I feel like for an average, I would say an average Twitch streamer, 10 to 20 viewers is like elo hell. That's where like you really have a hard time getting past. If you find yourself in there, it's just good luck.
Here we go. I don't know these people, but
I'm pretty sure QtPie has got a massive beard, if I'm thinking of the right guy.
Oh, they are live right now. Is there a link?
Go in there. I'm pretty sure man's got a beard and a half.
Wait, no, this isn't.
Bro, that's QtPie. That's not. That's.
It's not a female.
That's not a female.
Are you talking about PewDiePie, the YouTuber?
No, QtPie. That's who you're looking at. That is a man.
Oh, gotcha. My bad.
That is a man's man.
Man's man.
So, but again, that's why I was saying that I think it's just two factors that should change. That's what I'm getting at. That there's, I feel like there's a lot of factors beyond just like the example that you mentioned earlier of that esports owner. That is 100% unequivocal an example of something that needs to change as well. 100%. I fully agree with you.
I think, on the stream sense, I would think it might change, in that sense as, things continue to get more mainstream, and maybe if the, stigma and I guess level of harassment that typically comes from being a female on Twitch, like, I mean, I don't know if I've talked to anyone who says I don't know if I've spoken to anyone who says, harassment isn't like a main factor of like their daily life on Twitch. It's something that they have to deal with every day.
Sure.
I think if that starts to diminish, you'd probably see a more leveling of, the same, I guess, elo hell. Doesn't matter who you are, you'll still find yourself in that wonderful area.
I concur with that.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty valid opinion.
Yeah.
I would say, I guess, kind of the last, but we've kind of went around this point for a little while, so I'll probably
Yeah.
say my last kind of
And I'm glad we did, honestly.
point on it is like, for me to get into gaming, like I'd been gaming as since I was a kid, like really got into it, really got into Twitch, really got into competing, esports, stuff like that. Like for me, it was, initially an escape. It was like, it's my area where I just kind of feel safe and, have some
Yeah.
buddies I can talk to and, maybe you drink or you do whatever. If
A
like-
drink, Urban? Come on now. Come on
If-
now.
All the
if
above,
I
maybe.
endured what I see, like when I play with some of my female friends and stuff like that at a level of harassment, or when I go and play like public lobbies in CSGO, if I had to endure that every day, every game, I would not be in gaming, because it would not have been that safe escape or that the ability for me to be where I wanted to be.
Can I say something?
100%.
Can I say something along those lines though?
Yeah. Can I jump in after you?
Absolutely. Man, I almost don't know if I want to dive into here because I feel like it can go into a significantly longer conversation, but fuck it.
We got all the time in the world.
Yeah, fuck it. So, this, what you just said kind of goes right along the lines of what I was trying to say earlier about adversity and how those types of things can lead to the most significant and impactful changes that anyone can see. And they happen organically, and there's literally nothing you can do to force them. And once they happen, they change forever. And for example, I just recently watched an interview of Tiger Woods when he was roughly 10 years old. And the interviewee asked him, plain and simply, what it was like for him to go to country clubs and be looked at in a certain way. And this was back in early 1990s, I believe. And I'm still, to this day, impacted by how a 10-year-old answers that question. And he is extremely blunt and extremely honest. And he says, yeah, there are absolutely times that I go to some places and they look at me like I'm not supposed to be there. But it is what it is. I use it as motivation, and I move forward. And I hope that one day, based off of my actions and based on the things that I do, that hopefully it changes their mind. Period. End of story. Unequivocally done. And now we see today what that motivated that individual to do. And he's not regarded as the greatest person of color to ever play a golf. He's regarded by many as the best player, human athlete to ever play any sport, especially golf. Period. So sometimes, in my opinion, adversity, even at the level that we're talking about now, can motivate people to do something organically that ends up changing for the better an outcome that none of us could even possibly accomplish by trying to force it. So hopefully that kind of puts into better perspective what I was trying to say earlier in regards to the existing adversity to things.
Mm-hmm.
I think that adversity is applied in many different walks of this industry, though, truthfully. I mean,
Yeah.
you could take it as gender, you could take it as age, you could take it as ability, your skill, you could take it as your follow count, even, honestly. I think that's just something that overcome the adversity in the scene. I know many people that are like, oh, you don't have 10,000 followers on Twitter, so I'm not going to play with you. Or, oh, you only average 10 viewers on Twitch. All right, well, I'm not going to play with you. Oh, you're a woman, so I don't want to play with you. I think that level, and it can just be intertwined with everything you're kind of just talking about right now. I feel like there's just a lot of walks that you can relate that to, truthfully.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
again, if I'm just talking out my ass, let me know. Tell me if you
No,
disagree.
and
but
again, I'm really glad that I was able to express that a little better than I was before, because I'm not trying to say that adversity is necessary. It's there, and yes, we should absolutely 100% all of us do better for it not to be there. But I'm simply hopeful that even through that adversity, we are going to get to the place where we need to be, that we've all agreed upon that we should be. And I just feel like with less misguided or counterproductive forcefulness, we'll get there faster than via the latter. And clearly, this is a polarizing and important topic because it's the one we've probably talked about the most on this podcast today.
yeah, definitely.
And I'm glad we did.
It's
And I'm
extraordinarily
very glad we did.
Polarizing.
And Urban, I hope you didn't take anything that I said the wrong way. And I hope you know that we're both on the
with
same.
what?
The whole adversity thing. I know that you disagreed at one point, but maybe I didn't explain
that
myself
was
in
just
the right
like,
regard.
Yeah, so like the only thing I disagreed with was just I guess to what level of adversity, just because like with the specific examples I was giving was just
Yeah.
like those are people that are already doing everything they can, right? And it's
I'm
just
with you.
like,
Yeah. I understand. And I hope that little by little we'll have less and less people that provide those ridiculously unfounded, and not that any adversity is founded, but you know what I'm saying. Well, Mason, I kind of kept you on longer than we had agreed upon. And same here with you, Oddity and Urban. I appreciate you guys
That's
being on
okay.
here for this long. This is awesome.
Great conversation.
Hell yeah.
Really
sir.
appreciate it.
Well, that wraps up episode 1. And my goodness, I cannot thank Oddity and Urban and Mason enough for being here and making it possible, and everybody in chat and everybody that came in. I'll be posting this entire VOD on, obviously, the Twitch VOD will be there. Well, I don't know if the Twitch VOD will be there because...
There might be a few edits that need to be made, but...
You want to add the entire VOD to YouTube either. Maybe.
Listen, you add the entire VOD, you're going to get a solid ass pick of a
Yeah.
Buffalo Bill fan.
Oh man.
Wow. Oh, wait, it was a Buffalo Bills fan's ass?
To make it
Yeah.
even-
Here, I will link
Nice.
you to the VOD here. I
Oh,
got you,
goodness
don't worry.
gracious.